All right, guys, welcome back to the Hunter Base podcast. What do Maverick Hunters do when they're not hunting Mavericks? They go back to the base, recharge, and shoot the shit. I'm your host of the most, Zeromaster, and with me is my co-host, who's most verbose, Canadian Jutsu.
Hello, how you doing, buddy, old pal?
Buddy, old pal, old friend, old pal, old buddy.
Yeah.
And
fine afternoon.
And back with us is my brudda, your brudda, everyone's brudda. It's BruddaKirby.
Ah, it's BruddaKirby.
You know what? I was going to make a joke about the whole Maverick Hunter thing. First off, hello. I was going to say, yo, I'm Douglas. I'm down in maintenance. I need you guys to stop messing up, you Maverick Hunters.
Look, I just lost an arm. How hard can it be to make a new one? This is only my third.
Yeah, okay, Zero. We all know about you losing body parts all the time. You don't have to rub it in, okay?
Did you guys see that no context Mega Man from that I sent that I retweeted a while ago from Project Cross Zone, where it's like, wow, X is like, wow,
your head comes off, yeah,
and Zero's just like, no comment.
Like. I could gush about Project Cross Zone, just the interactions alone.
You know what's funny? I recently
But that's not what this podcast's about.
Yeah.
What is this podcast about,
Today's podcast is about a game with Pokemons and Sword and Shield. It's about Pokemon Sword and Shield. Because all of us have played it, all of us completed the main game, and Kirby and I have done the post-game story stuff. So... so we're all playing it. Lots of people are playing it. I'm streaming it right now, Tuesdays and Thursdays at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time on twitch.tv/Zeromaster. Shill. Doing a special play file where I do the adventures of You Couldn't.
Oh dear.
My Scottish lass, and also featuring bad Scottish, British, and sometimes Irish accents from yours truly. So, yeah. And then CJ was Milo.
I was Milo, even though the stream lag was incredibly intense.
But it worked. It was great. So, but yeah, also, just since we're talking about this at the top, Kirby also released a video review on Pokemon Sword and Shield. So if you haven't checked that out, that will be in the description and at the end of this video in the cards if you're watching this on YouTube.
And I will let you guys know that it is objectively spoiler free.
Objectively spoiler
free?
Yeah, it's kind of weird because people consider talking about characters and certain aspects of the story spoilerish, but okay. I try to keep it as vague as possible, except for the pronunciation of one particular character's name, which I butchered.
I completely agree. Like part of me, I guess, like, because we always had that big lead up to when Pokemon comes out, that we sort of see some of the new generation designs, like either reworks or like brand new Pokemon, and seeing those brand new Pokemon for the first time when playing the game, rather than just seeing a still image on the internet, is like, to me, I do get a better rush out of that because I'm like, what the fuck is that thing?
It's exciting. It's exciting, right?
Yeah, so, like that little pink imp thing the first time I saw it, because I had no prior knowledge of Implish or Imply.
What I will say, though, is this podcast will have spoilers at some point. We're going to try to hold off to near the end to talk about any major story spoilers or anything like that.
So we'll be talking about all types of Pokemon, our teams, and other things like that.
Yeah, exactly. And that's mostly just to anybody who's still playing the game can still hear our thoughts and everything on the games in this podcast. So Pokemon Sword and Shield, I guess the best place to start is before the game even came out. There was a lot going on in the Pokemon online community before this game came out. I would say even more so than previous games that came out. Like, I don't remember as much hype / drama surrounding one singular generation of Pokemon since, like, X and Y came out, I guess, because that was the first time it was fully 3D and it was a big deal.
Yeah, but like we've had sort of like jumps in the Pokemon sort of sphere as the generations have sort of taken on. Like, obviously, the millennials took it first, and now the Gen Zers are now playing Pokemon, and the game itself has either jumped ship for some people, either rekindle it, or it's designed specifically for the generation that it was made in.
Mm-hmm.
So I look back and I think of like the first talk about Pokemon, the first explosion where like everything was like crazy when we were all kids and we wanted Pokemon cards, we wanted Pokemon figures, we wanted Pokemon sashes and bed sheets and all that type of stuff.
And if you think about it, we're kind of in the second wind of Pokemon thanks to games like Pokemon Go. Because you give people a free Pokemon game. Well, it's not like a full-on Pokemon game, but it's something they can play on their phone for a few minutes. Like, it's like it's become massively successful because of that. And I think that like it's kind of rejuvenated Pokemon for some people because there's more mobile games now. There's Detective Pikachu this year, which we meant to talk about, we never did. But
I thought we did talk about.
We didn't. You had brought it up as a topic. I'm like, yeah, let's do that, and then we never did.
Did. Oh well. It's a good movie. TLDR, good movie.
Yeah.
You'll watch it.
Kirby,
it's actually a good
Detective Pikachu thoughts, real quick.
I haven't officially seen it yet. So.
Blasphemy! I'm kidding.
No. It's just I haven't seen it yet. Like the last movie that I went to go see was Hobbs and Shaw, and then I've just been busy with like other stuff, so I haven't watched the movie in like months.
So I see you are also one of us in terms of the Fast and or Furious people.
Yes, you are one of the cultured people of the Fast and the Furious.
The greatest movie franchise of all time.
Fury Eye, Fast and Furious. Fury Eye. Yes, Fury Eye. Anyway, regardless, but the thing about like this being like the hypest Pokemon, I remember Gen 2 being like on this level of hype.
Dude, yeah.
Gen 2 was always that big, and Gen 3 was the first time, I guess, like, and I always have to remember this was around that time when I was hitting my teens, and I was playing Metal Gear Solid and Final Fantasy VII instead of these little tiny RPGs. I was playing these Square Enix PlayStation RPGs. You know, it's where my love for Grandia comes from, too. It's like those RPGs took off for me, while some people did continue with Pokemon. And I didn't really have handhelds for a big portion, so I didn't really continuously play Pokemon until I think Black and White came out. And I remember that the hype for Black and White was always this like, Pokemon's getting stale, it needs to do something new. And like that was the first time ever a controversy sort of popped out. I'm not saying that the games themselves don't have unique aspects to them. It's more along the lines that those are the things that I remember from those generations.
Yeah.
And then going into Gen 6 and then obviously into 7 and 8, we've seen that rise of Pokemon because, like you said, Let's Go Pokemon took its place by storm a couple of years ago. Then obviously last year's Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee built up more hype because it got people that were playing Just Go to buy a Switch and then play it on their Switch. Now they're playing a full-fledged Pokemon game.
Yeah. And the thing, and I'll just interject real quick and say that I think fourth gen was kind of like the make or break for some people. For some people, it was their first generation of Pokemon. We have to know. And for other people, like people thought, third, fourth gen, it was starting to get stale. Which, if I can admit, I kind of agree. It was starting to get stale at that point. But there are people I talk to who still say, fourth gen's the one, and I'm just like, okay, if you say so. Even though I don't agree. Kirby,
they weren't bad games. They were just another game on the pile of Pokemon games.
Kirby, you've been a little quiet. How do you stand with Pokemon up until before this generation of Pokemon? Where are you?
Well, I think I've gone on record and saying that, like, third gen was always my favorite. Like, despite how people received it, and especially like some of the younger folk that I talked to and stuff like that who went back and played third gen or played Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire and just yelled at me, "Why is there so much surfing?" And I'm just like, you got to use your water Pokemon somehow. Anyways,
Hey man, it made it so it's like a staple in my team since like Gen 1 and 2. Like having a water Pokemon is something that is so essential in this game.
Because just like Earthquake, Surf is a broken move, so everybody has it.
Right?
Yeah.
But I just like I've been playing since we said Red and Blue. I've gotten every single game in every generation. I did not skimp out on it, and I've always been like a diehard fan of it, despite the up and downs. And I will fully admit, and I tell people all the time that I might be a big Pokemon fan, but I'm not oblivious to the faults.
Yeah,
you know.
I mean, the other thing too is you have a unique perspective because you've dabbled more in fan game stuff than I think we have. So like, I don't know anything. Like earlier today, you showed me a new Mega Man fan game that just came out, and you're like, "Yo, you got to check this out." Because I don't know anything about that world, and I know the two things that I see you talk most about when it comes to fan games is Mega Man and Pokemon. And like, I've seen you stream some Pokemon fan game stuff before, so I know that there's like a unique perspective there because there's a whole other community that we're not in.
Well,
in that case.
The whole thing about the fan game community, and I say this not only just for Pokemon and Mega Man, but like for a lot of like different games that do get fan games and stuff like that. And it boils down to a mentality that's both good and bad, and it boils down to, if this company is not going to give us the game we want, we're going to make the game we want. And especially when it comes to Pokemon, there's a lot of just stuff that I would say the Game Freak company like does really well, and there's a lot of stuff that just they don't do at all. And when it comes to fan games, you get that experience of people who are passionate about the games and will go out their way to do certain things. Like they will go out their way to make certain aspects of the game easier, or if you like a challenge, they'll make it more challenging. It's just when you're playing a fan game, it's by the fans for the fans.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So it's a different experience, but when it comes to like Pokemon, it's just the same. Get your 8 badges, collect the Pokemans, get it done.
Or in 7th gen, do the 8 gym challenges, but that's a whole another thing.
Man, look.
I mean, there wasn't really an Elite Four.
What in Sun and Moon?
No, I mean Sun and Moon. No, and obviously in this game too.
Yeah. They did something else.
Yeah, they did something else, which I actually am very happy with, because the way that they structured everything is the best aspects of X and Y and Sun and Moon have been put together and have made like an actual interesting, intricate story that also goes along with why you're actually doing this, not just why are a bunch of kids between the ages of 10 and 20 doing this.
I agree with your comparison, but this is kind of like a mix of X, Y, and Sun and Moon, but also adding on to that new things and polish and things that the Pokemon series has kind of needed for a long time. But before we
it's still lacking in certain places, but we'll get into that when we're
before we hop straight into it. What were your guys' thoughts on which I think is ironic that people were referring to this as the Dexit? Which is funny because this game takes place in is based on the UK. The Brexit happened, so people were calling it the Dexit. Anyways, Kirby, it sounded like you had something to say.
All right, we'll let Kirby go first.
So first and foremost, there's actually an in-game explanation to why there is only so many Pokemon in the thing. We got the explanation from the company. We got it from the game creators why. But they actually explained in game why there's only 400 odd Pokemon in this region. And when it came to the Pokemon they chose, I sat there and I said to myself, and I said, they're going to do their new Pokemon. They're going to do the new, I think maybe I want to say 60.
100? I thought it was 100. I thought it was 100 new Pokemon.
Oh yeah, I was thinking it was between 60 and 100. But yeah, they're going to do their 100 Pokemon. But I said they're going to pick at least the first 100 of them are going to be either the fan favorites or the ones that are really good but not that good in competitive. And lo and behold, they did. Because you have, the newer Pokemon, you have the fossil Pokemon.
I don't particularly like them, but we'll get into that.
I'm learning to like them only because of certain reasons, and I'm not going to get into it because that's all mechanical.
So just not sorry to interrupt you real quick. So there's a total of 94 new Pokemon. So about a quarter of the Pokedex,
okay. Just shy of 100.
Yeah. So a quarter of the Pokedex is new stuff. So
yeah, but like a lot of they made it, and they made it a point for the new Pokemon to make their designs and everything likable. For the returning Pokemon that got regional variants, I like all the regional variants. I like
Meowth is scary as all hell, man.
That
Meowth, when it evolved, I was like, nope. That gremlin's going in the box and it's staying there.
I
don't
love
feed
Berserker.
them after midnight, CJ.
I know, no, it's a goddamn gremlin.
I love Berserker, but no, they did a real good job. Like some of the new Pokemon, especially like like I said, the regional variants. Yanmaster's regional variant is amazing.
It's funny because I hear people say that it's trash.
Well, okay,
it looks cool. I will give it that. It looks super cool, but I don't know because I don't EV train or do any of that stuff. But I looked at its stats and I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of neat. I traded it to get the old version of Yanmask in a Pokemon Center somewhere.
Oh yeah, I'm not going to. I'm not going to try to pronounce. Like, I'm not going to try to pronounce the name of that city because I've heard it pronounced several different times. But it was like you have the new there was as Poltegeist. It's not a really exceptional Pokemon, but there's like
the teacup one where it's like one's a brittle version and one's like an actual antique or whatever.
One's a fake and one's a real version. And like you have to look at the bottom of the cup to find the seal of authenticity for it. I think that was a really cool idea. But like they explained in the game that like they monitored which Pokemon comes into the country because they don't want invasive species. And I said that's a real thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny. There's a screen cap somebody showed in my Discord from Pokemon Masters where Blue or Gary, whatever you want to call him, basically says, be like, yeah, in some regions you can't take Pokemon with you. I can never get past security when I try to go to Galar with my Pidgeot. But they're like, nope, you can't bring that with you.
Oh man, fucking Pidove can be in there. Pidgey can be too. So sad. Like, I mean, there is parts of the decks. There are certain like Pokemon that I wish had come over. Like, I particularly like the Zubat family. Everybody has a real big heart on about hating Zubats all the time, but I like Zubat, Golbat, and obviously Crobat. Ekans is another one. I've always liked Arbok. I was always a red.
Here's the thing. Most of my favorites didn't make it. I mean, my number one favorite Pokemon of all time, Blaziken, didn't make the cut. In fact, the only starter from previous games that made the cut was Charmander. So
and Bulbasaur, technically.
Bulbasaur? He's
actually in the game data, and he's fully rendered and everything like that. They just haven't announced him yet. I guess they're gonna save him for like a special mystery gift or something like that.
Yeah, that's true.
Because like Mew is in there as well, like Mewtwo, but like the actual, he's nowhere to be seen in a game.
But despite all of that, I don't care. The game is good enough that I don't need to have my favorites with me. So
that's also it forces you to not go with your staples, because a lot of the times, I watch Pokemon streamers and you're like, oh, I want to see how they're going to play through Sword, and I'm just watching them play the same team that they've used since like Gen 1, and you're just like, and they even wait for those Pokemon. They don't even test out or try other ones. They just get the ones they like and they play the game. And you know what? Personally, I think that's okay. Like, half my team is based off of looks more than it is off of probably strategic battle strategies. But at the same time, the game has 400 flexible little critters for me to to fiddle around with and play with the mechanics. So I'm not terribly offended by it. There are a couple of Pokemon that I feel like are really weird that they're not in the region. Because of just like the general setting of the actual Galar region. There are certain Pokemon you're like, why aren't these things in here? Or at least variants of them. It's curious that Rattata, the rat Pokemon, is nowhere to be seen.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. There's a lot of rats, so who knows?
I mean, this is squirrels. It's squirrels now.
But his cheeks are so chubby. He's trying to hide something. But what I will say is that I feel what I like is that some of the later generations are get a little more love, which is fine because I'm gonna admit that like X and Y I've only played through a couple of times, and Gen 7 I haven't done a second playthrough yet, and I missed out on a lot of the Pokemon because one of the biggest problems that this game solves is that I usually have a team picked by the time I've gotten at least my second badge. So what's great about this game, just something I know we're bouncing all around, is the wild area kind of solves that because you can basically almost go anywhere and build your team up if you want to. In the first wild area I'm talking about before you...
Well, they give you a good selection.
Exactly.
Right out the gate with different weathers and other things like that in the wild area. We'll get, like I said, you're right. We'll get more into that a little bit later. But I see how you built your team, but I'm still technically building like my proper team.
Yeah, and the thing about that is I originally am like, I'm only going to use new Pokemon, and then I would come across something that I knew, but I never trained it before, and I'm like, well, I need this in my party. I'm like, you know what? I'll make an exception for this or that. And I'm glad I did, because near the end of the game, having Haxorus in my party made things a lot easier, especially against the champion. So, but yeah, it's, I could feel the love from the later stuff. I'm not as hurt about older stuff getting cut, because honestly, it's just like, if I want to use those Pokemon, I'll just go play the games that they're prevalent in. Like the ones where they came out, like, I played Red and Blue and Yellow to death, but like if I really, really, really want to train Squirtle again, I'll just fire one of them up. It's one of those things.
And Kirby said it right too. Like the most popular Pokemon made it in, and obviously starters are popular. Mm-hmm. They're always going to be popular because they're the poster childs. They're your first Pokemon that you'll ever get. Right, so everybody always wants to have that starter, but then they're not unique. Right? Why are these Pokemon selected as the starters of certain regions? Right? Yeah. It's because they're unique to the region, and I feel that them migrating makes sense, but at the same time, I want them to stay relatively rare. I've always wanted them to.
Part of me wanted them to make the one previous starter that they had put in just to troll people would be Snivy, because that Pokemon is just a fucking troll. That's the one that makes it in. They're like, oh, the troll one.
Actually, here, like, I don't know how we want to segue into some of this stuff, but we've talked a little bit about how the game has sort of influenced us over the course. Like, the last thing I want to mention is I have not played a Pokemon game since X and Y. I played X and Y. I did not like it. I did not like X at all. It felt boring. I didn't like any of the new Pokemon designs, and I just sort of said, maybe Pokemon's not for me anymore. I always kept an eye out when I kept an eye for Sun and Moon. Yeah, okay. And then this one came up, and then everybody was talking about it. I like the region. I have always liked medieval fantasy. So I was like, all right, I'm going to give it a try. Yeah. And, well, I picked up Shields. Now, what did you guys pick up? Because I do want to talk about the differences and /or. Not if you picked up both, but your first experience with the one that you played.
I picked up Sword myself.
I also pick up Sword. So.
Yeah.
So I'm the only Shield here. Okay.
Yeah. And I find that most people picked up Sword because anytime I go into a game store, there's more Shields. So I think Sword was the main one. I just wanted Sword because I like the Sword legendary more than the Shield one. Though Shield Boy is cool too.
I'm not going to tell you the reason why I picked up Sword. So.
I knew Growlithe was in Shield, more predominant in Shield, and that's not my favorite Pokemon. So I was like, go there. But like, I actually do prefer, like, I play a paladin in 14. I quite like tanking and stuff like that. So a shield is always more representative than being a go-getter and an attacker for me. So I was like, that's the type of Pokemon trainer I would be. Just that asshole that just entrenches themselves and watches you die of a slow, poisonous death.
That's dark.
Are you a shuckle that knows toxic?
Do not. Okay, please do not mention Shuckle to me, please.
Oh no, I got Toxicity or whatever his name is.
Oh,
the low key one.
Toxicity,
Screw the
the album by System of a Down. I'm training one of those actually right now in Vice.
Yeah, there's the amp version, and then there's the low key version, which is probably the most interesting new evolutionary path thing that was introduced, unless it was in previous ones. Kirby is their nature determines what they evolve into, not just their like affection towards you or their gender.
Yeah. There is a couple of new things, like I think it's Owl Creamy. It's the thing that's like basically just cream. It's like icing or whatever. Depending on what time of day you evolve it, and like how much you spin around, because you have to spin around in which direction, you get a different type. And I did 4 different attempts to try to get the rainbow color, because I wanted the rainbow one. And it's funny because you have to give it an item a decoration. You have to spin for a long time, and it has to be around 7 o'clock, like at night. You have to do it then, because if you don't, you can't do it till the next day. And I actually ended up getting it finally. But there's cool little things like that. I will say, just going on the evolution thing real quick. I know we're doing a bit of a segue. Thank God that they fixed some of the evolutions. Like, for example, there's a thing from Gen 7. Oh, I can never remember this thing's name. It's an electric bug. And
Vigavolt.
Yes, Vigavolt. You can only get the final form in Gen 7 by going to a certain place late in the game and leveling up in that area. In Gen 8, you use Thunderstone. Thankfully.
They did that.
Oh, is that weird bug thing?
It's the weird bug.
It's that box. It's like a box, but
it turns to a box, and then it goes from a box and then turns into like an electric beetle thing. It's really cool. I love it.
They did that with a lot of different Pokemon. They changed a lot of the evolutionary. There's still a lot of weird ones, mind you.
Thank fucking God I can raid for Salazzles now. Oh my God.
But they actually did change a lot of evolutions. Like, I want to mention a few of them and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Evolutions are now all by stone or by time or time of day now.
Okay.
So you can get a Leafeon by using a Leaf Stone, or a Glaceon using the new Ice Stone, or if you want a Sylveon, it's by affection during evolving it by affection, but it has to know a fairy move. So it's
so it doesn't accidentally turn into what you don't want it to just because of time constraint. Like, don't Umbreon and Espeon have the same thing now too? They use a Dawn or a Dust Stone?
No, they're still the same. They're still the same. You can evolve by day, evolve by night. But
that's an internal clock, because I guess this is something I haven't noticed, but it seems like even at night when I'm playing at like midnight, it's day outside there, so it's just according to your internal clock.
It's whatever your time is on the Switch, and it's
so
really.
Does that mean those balls, those nest balls? I think they're nest balls, the ones that work in the dark or at night, or
that's
caves.
Dust Ball. Yeah,
Dust Balls. Yeah, like, do those work technically, even though it's day outside, because I'm playing late at night?
Oh, you mean when you're like out in the wild area and it's like be dead in the night, but it's like the sunlight's intense?
Yeah.
No, that's just a weird quirk of the wild area. That's not like it's actually sunny out. It's literally just the wild area has field effects. And it could just literally be the dead of night, and you're on your timer, but you'll get the field area will be sunny day.
Yeah.
So it's really weird.
Okay, so it's a weather effect on the fact that it could be night outside.
Also, I think for the wild area, I think the lighting is at night enhanced, because of if they just made it with the regular night colors in the wild area, it would get kind of confusing. in some spots. So I think that's why sometimes, like, if you go into the wild area, because I've even noticed that too. I'll be like, huh, I know it's like 2 a.m., but it's kind of bright out. But
and then I'm like, but it's based off of London, so is it actually light out there right now? I'm very confused.
Before we go back to the content, I think the worst weather effect to ever be in, and this is a post game thing, is to be in the wild area and it's just intense fog and there's just no visibility whatsoever. I said, "Oh, this is London, all right."
That or hail. Hail is I have an ice Pokemon specifically because I hate hail.
Well, see, normally I keep Abomasnow in front, so it makes it hail with his effect. So that's what I use it as a tactic for capturing.
And it's good as a move, and I like because I use Vanillite, so I get Ice Body, so it heals during hail, which is great. It's just, I guess I get impatient with all the menuing sometimes because some of my characters, my Pokemon have like leftovers and other things on them, so they constantly are eating or doing other things. I'm like, my god, this menu takes for goddamn ever.
It does get annoying when you go into a battle and I have Abomasnow out front and say it's raining, and then he has to use his effect to change it to hail. And then it's like, okay, I just want to run from this thing.
Yeah, and the game chugs while it's changing the weather. I've noticed, like it takes a while for it to be like, all right, it's thunder weather now.
There are some performance issues, but for the most part, the game seems to run fine. Unless you go online, that's when it starts to tank a little bit.
I've watched people just slide around in the wild area. I gave up being online very early on in my playthrough.
Yeah. But yeah. But let's just hop right into the game.
So you guys both have sword. I have shield. Your starters. Who is your first guy or girl?
Kirby, you go ahead.
I chose Cinderace for once because if anyone has known me for a very long time, I've always picked the water starter.
Oh, but Scorbunny? Yes. Okay, sorry.
Huh?
Scorbunny, right?
Yeah, Scorbunny.
Yeah,
Cinderace, Scorbunny. That's the final evolution. My bad. But I went with fire this time because, I wanted to be a little bit different. I always pick water types. And I think I did that also for Sun and Moon. I actually picked the grass type starter instead of the water starter. But, no. What about you?
I don't like any of the starters except Scorbunny. The other two kind of annoyed me. So I pretty much, even though I like Grookey's final evolution, I'm still like,
oh, you don't like his middle banana?
You don't
like his middle evolution of being a giant banana with
I don't
sticks?
like any of the other forms. I just like his final form. And so
I picked Grookey. I did pick Grookey. So yeah, 2 Scorbunnies and a Grookey. Man, I'm feeling cornered here. This is why I'm a shield, I guess.
It's funny. It's funny too because like a lot of people, another thing that people are like, be like, if this thing's probably going to turn into a firefighting, and what do you know? It looks like one, but it ain't.
No, it's a soccer player. It doesn't know kung fu,
and it only learns one fighting move, which is double kick. But I gotta say, like, I think picking Scorbunny was the right choice because when it became Cinderace, that move it gets when it evolves, I'm trying to remember what it's called. The one where
is it that fireball? Soccer? Yeah, the soccer ball.
Yeah,
kick.
That move is fucking insane. Like, and I think it missed once in my playthrough. It only missed once, and it has like a 90% hit rate. And usually 90% hit rates I get fucked on. So I was surprised that I didn't. So, but yeah, I love my soccer bunny. He's the best.
I don't know. My oh gosh, I always forget his name because I call him Potluck. I nicknamed my Pokemon. So a lot of their Gorilla Boom. He at first when he first turned into that, I was like, oh god, oh no,
I've made a terrible mistake.
Donkey Konga Konga popped and flashed into my mind. But he has some really sick audio moves, and this is something, I don't know if this is new or not, but there are items that amplify sound moves. that you can give to your Pokemon. So his like beat of the drum stuff gets amplified by twice the amount that it like normally does because it's an audio move. I have the same thing with Toxtricity as well. Is they have sound amplifying, yeah, and the amount of damage if you use that item, like he's able to one-shot everything. So I actually put my starter away because I was like, he's making the game too easy. So he's actually not part of my final team anymore. I dropped him at around level 40. And I got step on me plant waifu instead. I call her Stiletta. I don't know what her name is. She evolves from that little like chestnut. Like not chestnut, but it's like a little grape.
Bone Sweet. I used to know. Like I'm still one of those people who memorize all the Pokemon names, but yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I nicknamed them, so she's Stiletta to me.
It's funny because on my first playthrough, I specifically didn't nickname my Pokemon because I'm like, I'm not gonna fucking remember all these fucking names. so I didn't, and it made me remember them more. But now in my my stream playthrough, I'm nicknaming everything. So, because
it's just a tradition that I've always had.
I mean, you look at Yamper, his heart butt.
He's heart butt.
He has a heart on his butt, so he's heart butt.
And he turns into this like really cool electric dog thing.
I call his evolved form Silverbolt because that's what it reminds me of.
He does have Silverbolt's face, so he has a little bit.
Boltund. Like that is the biggest turnaround in Pokemon stats I've ever seen when it comes to like Pokemon, especially electric types. Like, cause like, Yamper has a base speed of 25 and then it evolves into Boltund and it goes to 121. I'm just like, why are you a thing?
But yeah, I think, I ended up with a pretty good, team. I thought about picking a different starter on my stream file, but I'm like, nah, I only like Score Bunny. So,
well, this is actually another interesting. In your final team, like we'll talk about like not about the fight itself, but the final team in the champion battle. Because sorry, spoilers, you fight the champion. Oh my god, you know, like Pokemon game. How many Gen 1 Pokemon did you have in it? Because I've seen quite a bit. Like I've asked other friends about this, and I find that it sort of speaks to which generation that really spoke to you. How many? I actually ended up with only one Gen 1er in my my final team, and it was not Arcanine.
Which one was it?
It was Hitmonchan.
Oh,
my brother raised a Tyrogue from a very young thing. He had extra. I think he had extra speed for a little less special attack, and he was able to Thunder Punch and Fire Punch his way to victory. The only reason I beat Charizard was because of Hitmonchan.
I'm actually just double checking my party right now in my main file because, yeah, I didn't use any Pokemon from older than 5th gen.
Damn.
That's my party, yeah. Wait, sorry, that's a lie. I have Abomasnow. He's from 4th gen.
I wish there was a way to actually see where, what was your final team going into the Pokemon League.
Like, have you, like, dude, you must remember at least most of them off the top of your head.
Let's see. I've been, let's see.
How long did it take you to beat the game? We should also mention that I think you beat it relatively quickly comparative to us.
Yeah, I basically, since I wasn't feeling so good at the time. And so I had a lot of free time on my hand. I beat it within like 2 days. Like within 40 hours.
I beat the main game, I think, in 20 to 25 hours. So it wasn't.
Here I am rolling around with like 40 hours of gameplay on mine, and I just beat them.
And keep in mind, that's me going and catching Pokemon too, like spending hours upon hours trying to catch Pokemon too. Yeah. Like, because one thing I'll say about, and I know we're bouncing around a lot, but about there only being like 400-ish Pokemon in this one is that it's not as daunting this time to try to complete the Pokedex. I'm actually like in my main game. Like, this might not sound like a lot, but I have caught 184 Pokemon. That's more than I've ever caught in any other generation of Pokemon, because In the first gen, I caught the original 151, and I have not completed the Pokedex since. I don't count Let's Go Pikachu because it was a remake. So,
okay, but do you think that that's a reconditioning because of Pokemon Go? Because I would just catch what I wanted and I would move forward. But now I'm like, new Pokemon, put it in my box.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that it helps you to do that because you can see those like highly charged Pokemon, the ones that give you watts.
Yeah.
And then you can trade the watts in for like a bike upgrade or change like special TMs and other things like that
and stuff. Yeah. The other thing too that I'm planning to do with my main file is once I've maxed out my party to level 100, I'm going to switch out for Pokemon in the box that I've caught, because one thing, this isn't really a spoiler, but once you beat the champion, the wild area, all the Pokemon are up to level 60. You can't catch anything lower than level 60 at that point. So in the wild area specifically. So I was like, oh, well, this is an incentive, because one of the worst things is like, oh, I'll catch Pokemon when I actually want to try and catch Pokemon. I'll be like, well, this thing's like level 3. I'm not going to use this. But like now it's just like, no, everything's level 60. So it's like, that's kind of a baseline for training Pokemon too. That's strong enough for raids.
I find anything under level 15, you can just sort of throw Pokeballs at them. And more often than not, like unless it's like an evolution form, like for example, Metapod is like 100 times harder to catch than like anything else in the grass. Like all those Banneries that are in there with him, like you can just throw Pokeballs at them and you can just catch as many fucking bunnies as you want. But once you hit Metapod, because it's an evolution, I guess it gets an extra like 25% on breakout rate or something like that. And it's the thing that frustrates me the most is when RNG is an asshole. When the thing literally has 1 HP, I put it to sleep. It's confused. There is no way this thing can break out in one failed twitch, but it does. And it just continuously does that because it's a big Bunamble or whatever those stupid giant bunnies are called.
Yeah,
the bunny isn't from this gen, right? The bunny's from a previous one.
Bunnelby is from
X and Y. It's an X and Y Pokemon.
Okay, gotcha.
To answer some questions in order. I had Mudsdale. One of the Pokemon I had from in my team was Mudsdale from Sun and Moon, because I remember Mudsdale being obnoxiously good, and then it got a move. They introduced a move in this gen that basically said Mudsdale is going to be your physical sweeper for the rest of the game. So. That was it. But yeah, it's my mind blanked out because I'm up for trying to remember like a lot of Pokemon. Like I had the starter, I had Mudsdale, I had I didn't think I caught a single older Pokemon below like I think 7th gen until post game.
So you decided to try your best to just use brand new Pokemon?
No, no, I take that back. I caught Aegislash just to be ironic. Because it's the Sword and Shield Pokemon, and I'm playing Sword and Shield.
Yuck, yuck, yuck.
Also, one thing I would just want to mention that I don't think is some of the coolest new designs of the Pokemons, including Corviknight, was designed by somebody who's a bit like a prevalent designer in the Mega Man franchise. So we got people all over the place designing stuff. Hell, Toby Fox wrote music for Pokemon. For this game.
Will say that some of the Pokemon designs, not all of them are hit the okay mark on me. Some of them turn into interesting creatures. Like I liked, like for example, the one that everybody likes to point out, but that Applin, it evolves into a really cool Pokemon.
It does.
But it's a fucking apple. First. But yeah, it's an apple at first. Or like a worm inside of an apple that eventually turns into like, that dopey little cutie bun apple pie thing.
Well, it depends on which version you have, but yeah, Appleton is pretty adorable.
Mm-hmm. But there were a couple that I'm like, ooh, I don't know why. Like, why would it evolve like that? Why would it look like that?
There is literally one Pokemon in this entire new Pokemon. Well, not even new Pokemon. There's just one Pokemon in this game that I kind of take a bit of a. I want to say it. I want to use the word umbrage. That's a correct word? It's just. It bothers me that they would actually go too far with this Pokemon. Have either of you seen Galarian Corsola?
Yes.
I
actually have it on my team.
Before we go on here, though, I'm an idiot. What the heck does umbrage mean? CJ?
Umbrage? I'm sorry, it's way too late for me to even remember.
It nettles me. Let's use that word. It nettles.
CJ?
It uproots. It frustrates.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's design that frustrates you, or
no? It's because I think it's a nice Pokemon. I think it's a really cool Pokemon design. I think its evolution is annoying because of its hidden ability, and it can go die again. But no, it's because. It's the way it's designed. If you really think about it, it's sending a message, and it frustrates me that they would use a Pokemon to send that particular message. Because if you read its Pokedex entry, you realize that that Galarian Corsola is basically dead sea reef, dead coral reef.
Yeah,
and I'm just like I like that idea. Of that, even like stuff like that could be a Pokemon, but I just felt like it came out of left field for me, and I was just like, it kind of bothered me.
Okay, I this is just something, especially about the ghost and psychic type Pokemon in this universe. To me, I really like the dark aspect of certain things, like Hypno stealing children to nursery rhymes is great.
You just like that because I was eating Yasha. I'm kidding.
Yeah. No, but it's like those are the types of things. Like Litwick, for example. I love that chandelier. I love Chandelare. Chandelure, whatever his fucking name is. I called him Firefly. But regardless, their light, the light of that candle of Litwick, his light, and according to the Pokedex, is it shines brighter if the soul is younger when it absorbs a soul. So that means that the younger the kid is and the more powerful your Litwick is, means that they stole a child's soul to power itself. Like, there are dark and terrible things. And if we're just going to say that pollution isn't a thing and it irks you because it's taking a real world look at something and creating a Pokemon, then I can understand you being upset about that. It makes you feel a little irked. But I don't think this is that, wow, they went a bridge way too far with this one.
No. Like, because I understand that because I do like ghost Pokemon design. I like dark Pokemon designs. Like you mentioned Litwick, and there's actually a woman in the region who is sitting on her couch looking at two Litwicks, and she's just like, yes, watching the flames of my Litwicks make me feel so comfortable.
Because it's her children's souls, everybody. She's looking at her children. She's looking at her children's souls. It's dark. There's an entire storyline dedicated to you returning a love letter from a child that died.
Yes.
There's a lot of dark stuff, and I appreciate that being put into Pokemon because it shows not just for us as adults to really get and understand, but it teaches the kids that there are dark things in this world, but they're not necessarily always bad. Right? Like, certain things are necessary, but they're not okay. Like that type of mentality.
Though I swear to God, if anybody starts making dead baby jokes around me with this, I'm going to have to stop this podcast.
No. I'm just saying, like, there are darker things than talking about pollution. Like, and it makes sense biologically too.
Yeah. So here's what I'll ask, since we're talking about the new Pokemon in general. or the Pokemon in general. Like, other than the starters, what are some new Pokemon you guys liked of the newer ones that are introduced? Like, for me personally, I'm a big fan of Pokemon like Dreadnought. Like, I just like him. He wasn't that strong leveling up, but I love Dreadnought. He's the water rock thing.
Yeah, he evolves from Turtle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Turtle is stupid, but I love Dreadnought.
It makes sense. If I imagine what that thing would look like as a baby, I mean, yeah.
Do you know what Turtle looks like? It looks like a schoolyard bully.
A little bit. Not turtly enough for the Turtle Club for you?
Oh, god damn it.
I mentioned this earlier, and I did mention it with a little distaste, but they've grown on me in the worst possible way. The fossil Pokemon in this game are horrible in execution, but it's because they're horrible in execution that I'm actually slowly getting enamored by them. You know, because like when you think about it, they say in game, Arceus was the first Pokemon. It created all the other Pokemon before it, all that kind of stuff. And then you have this woman who's like, oh, these two Pokemon fossils go together. Click, click, revive.
Oh god, I'm an abomination!
Yeah. It's like, this is not what Arceus wanted. But no, they're just...
It's a click away from saying, kill me.
But I've been using Dracozolt and Arctozolt, and I'm up her raising Dracovish, and they're really fun Pokemon. It's just to use in like raid battles because they have fun move sets. They learn weird things. They have unique moves. They're very interesting Pokemon that make you think, how dangerous would these Pokemon be if they actually had their actual body parts?
Huh. It's like a deformed Megazord of Pokemon. But
I rocked Obstagoon for a while, actually. He's the third evolution of the Zigzagoon thing, and he's actually pretty sick. Dark Normal is quite a good type because you get a lot of coverage on a lot of things because of it. It protects your normal status from fighting types, which is really nice.
No, it doesn't. Obstagoon is 4 times weak to fighting.
Is he 4 times weak to fighting? Oh, right, Dark is. I always mix it up with... Is it Fairy? Is it Fairy that it's fighting stuff? Yeah. But I never had a bad option with him.
I will say this generation gave me 2 fairy Pokemon. I found 2 fairy Pokemon I actually like. Because I don't know if you guys know my rant about fairy Pokemon, but I do not like fairy Pokemon. For what I like to say are legitimate reasons, but some people like to say aren't. But there were 2 that I really liked. First of all, the sword boy, the sword legendary is fairy, and I at first I was like, oh, really? It's a fairy type? But then I realized like what kind of moves it learns in the fairy pool, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is actually really cool. And then the other one was that I think it's called All Creamy. I think that's what it's called. Hold on, let me.
Yeah, All Creamy.
I've got the game.
It is All Creamy.
It is All Creamy. Okay,
yep.
That's. Oh yeah, I nicknamed him Cummies because that was Deco's idea.
Well, that's Deco.
So there you go. Actually, I caught the Milcery, its first form, in a raid with Deco because he was streaming and I joined his raid. And then I
still haven't found one of those. Like I guess it's somewhere in the grass in Route 4, and I have never come across it.
Well, it's also like I think it's a Shield one. I think it's way more common in Shield. I'm trying to remember, but yeah, I'd never run into one because I was like, I guess I never seen one. I didn't really care too much, but then when Deco did that raid, I did it with him, and also the stats it got were amazing because it was a because it was in a Dynamax raid. Which I should just say, like, if you want to get perfect stat Pokemon or close to it, do the Dynamax raids because you get stronger stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But
I rocked Wooloo for a bit too.
Yeah.
Wooloo's adorable for no reason.
I really want to get a shiny Wooloo because it's a black sheep.
Nice.
I really want to get it, so I'm going to be breeding. I'm going to challenge my inner New Zealander, and I'm going to breed sheep. I'm just going to breed a shit ton of sheep. And if anybody needs a sheep, I got a sheep for you. Meh.
There is one fairy type though. There is one fairy type that I want to get, and I guess this would be a good segue to talk about them. Is what do you think about the Gigantamax variants of these Pokemon? Because I saw the Gigantamax variant of Grimmsnarl, which is the final evolution of Impidimp, and the first thing I thought when I saw it was, that thing is an Evangelion.
It does look like an Evangelion.
It kind of
That's for sure. But I don't know. I personally prefer Mega Evolutions. I think the designs can be a lot more interesting. Like, it's cool to see this big giant Pokemon. Wow, it's so big. Wow. But it loses its spectacle after you realize that all the moves are very, very similar. Like, it's max overgrowth, or for grass type, it's a max hex or whatever for ghost type. Like, it's a very shallow mechanic, to be perfectly honest. It's cool in raids because you get to see a bunch of giant Pokemon, and it's a good dynamic because it fits with the theming of stadiums and big crowds and cheering and everything. It's just, personally, I like the idea of Mega Evolutions more interesting because it's like a burst of power and they change form more than just, oh, look, it's big, or it turned into a skyscraper or something.
Here's the thing I'll do real quick. Sorry to cut you off, Kirby. I just wanted to get this out there before we drift off too much. But here's the thing about Dynamaxing. It's kind of like a new way of doing Mega Evolutions without being kind of broken. Because if you look at Mega Evolutions, especially my favorite, Mega Blaziken, it's fucking broken. Because even though it's only one Pokemon, you could, as long as that Pokemon doesn't die, you can keep using the Mega Evolution and you don't switch it out. In Dynamax, you get 3 turns, and that's it. And I find that a lot more.
You can fix that by having Mega Evolutions have that instead.
Oh, no,
right?
And I totally agree. But I think, I think at the point is, I don't think they're going to bring them back, with the one exception of the 3 Pokemon in Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee that can do Mega Evolutions. That'd be Charizard, Blastoise, Venusaur. I don't think they're going to bring them back because it feels like these are a gimmick thing, that they're going to start doing new gimmicks every time. As much as I would like to see some of the Mega ones, like Mega Blaziken, I would really like to come back. But I don't see them doing that. And if they do though, I agree. I would like them to put some kind of limit on it, because I think because here's the thing. I would sweep people with Mega Blaziken. People who, do the whole IV EV thing, try to get the perfect Pokemon, I would sweep them just with Mega Blaziken, because that speed boost is enough for me to go fast. Also, he learns skills that make him go first no matter what, like extreme speed. So it's like, if you can't get past that wall, and if you have one that has an ability where it gets stronger with its speed, you're just dead. Like, it's like a wall. Now, of course, if you talk to anybody who's competitive, they'll probably say, no, you can beat it with this, and this strategy. But, I don't play competitive Pokemon. I was just playing against people, and I found I did a lot better whenever I did use Mega Blaziken when I didn't. So it's like one of those things where, I saw how broken it was. So if they bring it back, I think they should put the 3-turn rule or something like that to make it not so broken. But, Kirby, you were going to say something before I cut you off. I apologize. Go ahead, sir.
I was going to say that I actually do prefer Dynamaxing the Pokemon, because with Mega Evolutions, they had to pick and choose which
true.
Pokemon get Mega Evolutions. With Dynamaxing, any Pokemon can Dynamax. Some of them might not be really good for Dynamaxing, like Shedinja.
Yeah.
Can you Dynamax? but when it comes to it, I do enjoy it, and I also like I said, I like the Gigantamax designs. You know, you have Cinescorch that turns into an actual, Chinese dragon when it evolves, or you have like I said, Grimmsnarl turns into a giant monster standing around. Or you have Lapras, who, when you win a Gigantamax, it has all these musical bands around it. You know, it looks like a cruise ship with like music around it.
I find the other thing too, just because you're talking about this and reminding me, Gigantamaxes aren't as ridiculous as some of the Mega Evolutions were. Like, no offense, but some of them look stupid. Really stupid.
Oh yeah.
Some of the Gigamax ones look a little silly too.
Oh no, and I'll agree, but I find a lot less of them look silly in Gigantamax, except for Fat Pikachu. Did you guys see that thing in the server with Fat Pikachu with a burger?
Oh, I have. That's the Let's Go Pikachu. Like, I have that Pikachu. I used him for a while.
But like, somebody posted when I was streaming the other night. Oh, here it is. I'll just post this. I'm just going to post this again. But they just edited a burger on it, and I was like, that's the greatest thing ever. Because Fat Pikachu is like, that's like the original design, essentially, before they slimmed him up. Pikachu with burger.
For Borgar.
But yeah, like Fat Pikachu's dumb, but I love it. But yeah.
Like, and I guess if they were to continue this, like, for example, to mix the two things together would probably be the best. Where you get quote unquote mega evolutions, but not everything changes, but they all still gain a benefit from doing it. Very similar to what Dynamaxing is, right? Is some of them have a different characteristic. They're called Gigamaxing or whatever. Gigamaxing.
I also think one thing that's nice about Dynamaxing is like you're getting both. Technically, you're both getting megas and Z moves because they get powered up moves.
Yeah, but there's not enough. There was way more Z moves than there are moves in Dynamax form.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Let me explain that because okay. So there's Dynamaxing, right? And there's Gigantamaxing. Gigantamaxing is not different from Dynamaxing. It's just that certain Pokemon like got a Gigantamax form, like the Pikachu. Pikachu has a Gigantamax form. And with Gigantamax, all that means is that it gets a specific typing move that has an extra effect. So, like, say, I'm going to butcher this Pokemon's name. Gigantamax Duraludon, the skyscraper.
Yeah.
The skyscraper. It gets a variant of the dragon move called G depletion. And what it is, it's basically the same thing as the dragon move, except it also lowers the PP of every single move of the target it hits.
But you can only do that once, right?
No, you could do it for all 3 turns.
That's awful. That sounds so broken.
So like,
it is.
So it's not like it's like a large drop. It's like by 1 for everything, but it's just still like they do get signature moves when they're specific Gigantamax.
But how many of them are there? There's how many Gigantamaxes?
There is currently 18, and what they're doing is they're basically saying, okay, when they released the game, they said, here's the first 18 Gigantamax Pokemon, and then later down the line, we're going to just patch in more Gigantamax Pokemon. Like, okay. I recently was told about Gigantamax Snorlax, which turns into a giant mountain with a camp on its stomach.
Yeah, that's coming out soon.
And so it's going to get a move called G Refresh, which basically says if there's berries, if you have all the allies that on your side of your team that had berries and they used it, it refreshes that. It's basically a souped up version of Recycle. So there's usually there's a level of strategy with the Gigantamax version of these Pokemon. Because it needs to be like the specific variant Gigantamax to have these specific moves. Versus if you have the normal one, they have the normal Dynamax move, like the Dynamax Dragon move, the Dynamax Dark move.
Yeah, well, what was I going to say? Like, obviously, not every single, like, for example, Dreadnought, we were talking about him earlier, he has a Gigamax or Gigantamax form, but not every Dreadnought can turn into that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need to go out into the raids to actually go out and catch it. And that right there, actually, I approve of, because that means that not only you have a chance to, everyone has a chance to get these unique Pokemon and stuff like that. It's that, the way they handle it, it's just these Pokemon will not be common, because, like, obviously you have, the casual people who will go out there, who are just like, oh, I got this Pokemon. And then you have the people who are not competitive, but like, they're a diehard. I want to capture all these fun, unique Pokemon. They'll go out their way to catch these Pokemon.
Oh yeah, no, I've evolved 2 Toxels specifically so I can have 1 amped and 1 low key.
Yeah,
and that's I have to get both of them level 30. Like that. Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, obviously, I think you can catch ones that are relatively close to that level, but still, like. I'm not a hardcore player. I'm not trying to breed these things to face off against people in the battle arena or anything like that. But I want to see if I can complete endgame.
Oh yeah, and like this is why I think this is one of the better Pokemon games they've put out, is because it's catering to so many different audiences within the Pokemon community. Mm-hmm. You have the casual players, you have the people who just love to catch Pokemon. They've made breeding easier now.
There's also just like a bunch of quality of life things, like being able to bring up information in battle without having to go through menus and checking things. Like,
oh yeah,
just like little things like that I'm just like, finally, like. Like you couldn't.
Oh yeah, the menus in this game are fantastic.
Like I mean, you can definitely feel the Persona 5 influence still.
Well, that's the thing is like Persona 5 had the one thing I will always give that game is it opened the doors for the idea that menuing doesn't have to just be a fucking little blue box with text in it. Which is a lot of the times is what ends up happening in certain games where you're just like, man, this UI sucks, or this thing, like, it just looks unpolished. Mm-hmm. Like for example, I'm playing whatchamacallit, the Alchemist game right now. Altair Reza, and the menu system is nice, but man does it reek of like early 2000 menus. And when we play games like Pokemon Sword and Shield or Persona 5, and there's other games, like hell, even Resident Evil 2's menu system was well designed and integrated into the core idea of the game. It's become important because people do like that either minimalist or that no holds barred, give me all of the fucking numbers. Because that's the cool thing is, like, I can understand that, red means that my Pokemon stats grows faster in that, while blue means it grows less. I don't need to know the specific values that garner whether I get 3 or 4 up on a level up or something like that, but I do know that I get better speed if I have that. So the game does a relatively good job of giving you a lot to work with, but not overwhelming you to a point that the intricacies are the only way to play. Like, Armored Core is a good aspect to that. Is, sorry, if you don't balance your mech perfectly, you lopsided your one-shot kill to anything that comes in. I don't particularly like that. Like, they have a good balance between micromanaging your Pokemon and just having a fucking good time because I'm playing a video game.
They also did put the tools in there for people who do want to micromanage. Like, if you do the battle tree and enough battles in the battle tower, the in game, battle these random trainers for the prize.
Just
like
the battle tower. Just,
yeah.
Regardless of what it's called, it's a battle tower.
Yeah. They give you an item that allows you to, like people who do breeding, all that kind of stuff. They give them an item that will tell you in game, oh, this Pokemon has good IVs. Mm-hmm. They give you these tools. They give you these things like, oh, if you do a whole bunch of these battles in the battle tree, you can use this item to change your Pokemon's nature. So you can do this kind of stuff. So they really did think about every person who would play this game.
And that's the thing too, that like, I remember when these games first came out, there was I think Ruby sent me this post that somebody made on 4chan or something talking about like their first playthrough of the game and all the reasons why they hated it and why they thought it was the worst Pokemon game. And every single one of them, I'm like, I could spin that into a positive. Because I'm like, while you didn't like this aspect, it made the game more enjoyable for me. And that's the thing that's important, because I think no matter what, you are not going to please everybody. Pokemon is so big now that like there have been people who have been playing since first gen. There are people who do certain things like breeding or competitive or whatnot. No one is going to be 100% happy. But like what the fact that they took time to do a lot of things, make changes, quality of life changes to the game, things that should have been changed a long time ago. Like I'm not going to say that this is the Monster Hunter world of the Pokemon series, but it's pretty damn close in terms of like, quality and polish.
I don't know if I want to go that far. Monster Hunter World was a big game changer for just Monster Hunter in general, not just for a community sake including not just diehard players, but even like new players, and really opening the door. Like we're talking graphics, we're talking the whole package with Monster Hunter World. Whereas I do love the aesthetic and the visual art style of this, specifically this generation. It's much better than it has been from like Ultra Moon and go back to X and Y, where it truly went.
And that's why I say I didn't want to say it is, but they did a lot of things that made me feel that.
Yeah,
way, like
but man, the only criticism I have is this does not feel like the next gen of Pokemon. It feels like this is the best that we can construct with the assets that we already have. And there are some new flashy moves, like the Pokemon are much more animated now. However, they're still just standing around and they have some animations and some movement that really gets you feeling like the battle. And obviously the music carries a lot of it. And I will fight to the grave to say that the music in this game carries the visuals beyond belief.
Like this is
any other thing other than Pokemon, people will be like, I can't believe I'm still watching the same animation that Charmander has had for like a decade and a half.
Yeah, and the thing I will say is like, and we discussed this beforehand, is this is probably the best Pokemon soundtrack in my opinion. Like this is the best, like in terms of the music, not just because like there was hardware limitations or anything like that, but I think this is the best that they've done with the music. Not just taking on collaborations, but like just like making it more like, even when you go into a stadium, like the music incorporates like crowd stuff. Like,
well, yeah, it's part of the European culture, which is really interesting. That type of synth wave that you hear throughout most of that is actually what we always joke about in North America is like Euro trash and Euro beats and all that type of stuff. That's huge in Europe. Mm-hmm. And to mix that with the Pokemon themes, with obviously there's new themes, but like, for example, the gym theme is like a bunch of different gym themes that have been sort of compiled together to create this synth wave, and only the final Pokemon part is unique to the Galar region's song, which is really cool because it's like the crowd cheering for you to Dynamax, and it just gets you all hyped and pumped, right? It's one of the best tracks, and each of the rivals have their own unique, distinct track to separate them from one another, even though they're not cookie cutter. This is probably the most diverse and well-rounded set of rivals that we've had. Mm-hmm. We have the quiet, anxious, but also sweet one with Marnie. We have the hyper-energetic Naruto asshole in Hawk. And then we have the jackass idiot, Bayday or Babe or...
Bidet.
Bidet. I call him Bayday. I've been calling him Bayday for this, like, when I read it.
But, like, you also have, and like, a lot of people didn't realize this because I mentioned this and like people didn't notice, but like Piers, the Dark Gym leader, has his own theme because he's not in a stadium. He's not in a area where you can Dynamax. So he has his own theme.
And he's also technically the leader of Team Yell. Technically.
Well, yeah, but you know, the whole thing with Team Yell was hilarious. In hindsight, it was just like,
personally, I would have called him Team Shout. I really feel that Yell, I guess it's supposed to be harsh. I guess that's the idea, because they're harsh, like cheering fans that are just a little too obnoxious, right? Mm-hmm. They're not like the regular go-getters that go out and go to the hockey game and have a right old Canadian time, you know. And, but like, yeah, I don't know. It just, for some reason, it doesn't stick out to me. It's like, so who's the team? Oh, it's Team Yell. I'm like, wow, really, guys? Didn't we have Team Galactus a little while ago? Like, we're really jumping down the bad word train here now, guys. How dare you raise your voice to me?
I'm glad you guys brought up Team Yell, because I gotta say, like, I just love this game's like, it being, you know, based on the UK, it's got that British punk aesthetic in a lot of places. The friggin', actually, speaking of Piers, his gym, you know what it reminded me of? It was a beat 'em up.
Rage?
Yes, it was a beat 'em up. It was Streets of Rage.
Yeah.
Like, if you think about it, his gym was essentially the first stage of Streets of Rage without having to, you know, beat up hookers. But
wow, okay.
Woof, woof, woof.
But
E for everyone. E for everyone.
But like, I just love that. I mean, I was a kid who, like, in high school, I had the mohawk and the combat boots, and as punk rock as a kid going to Catholic high school could be, I lived it. So, like, seeing all this stuff just takes me back to that time when I would listen to bands that would be from the UK. Like that British punk scene was a big thing back in the day, and it still kind of is to some extent. So it just makes me happy to see these things portrayed in that, because like a lot of people might not get it, but I definitely resonate with that shit. It got me to start listening to stuff like Refused and The Clash and like all that old kind of stuff that I listened to back in the day.
So, because this is it feeds into that, and we talk about the aesthetic, we got to talk about the clothes too. How much money do you think that you spent on clothing? Because I'm fairly sure the reason why I've had such a hard time is because I have been spending money on clothing rather than potions.
Dude, no, I hear you. When I debated near the end of the game, when I could get the leather jacket, I'm like, do I really need to spend 80,000 polka dollars on this jacket? Yeah, I need to spend $80,000 on this jacket.
I think the one thing, and I think we didn't talk about this, was which gender character we chose. I chose the female character.
Same.
I think we all did. Yeah.
Okay. But I think the one thing that really stood out for me is in that same shop, and I mentioned this to Zero offhandedly. I said, in that same shop where you buy that 80,000 biker jacket, they actually got the shorts, 1-to-1 shorts that the female protagonist from Black and White wore in there.
Yeah.
You can get the Gen 7's hat, like Gen 7 girl's hat in
the fucking rooster hat.
yeah. You can get it in whatchamacallit. I think I call it the ice place. It may not in your game. It may not be ice, because that's one of the unique things about Sword and Shield, which I'm so happy they finally did it. Unique gym leaders per version.
Yes.
Well, the city is unique. Sir Chester is still cold, but you know, as you're up here battling. You're battling the Russian snow buddy. We're battling her son in Sword. Okay. So
Melanie, sweet Melanie. Yeah, it says she has a beef with her son, but I'm like, we never meet him.
Yeah, no, he's the gym leader in Sword.
Oh, okay.
Because they released a like promotional stuff, and there's actually a picture of a little sketch drawing of Melanie with her sons, and it's the Rock gym leader. Oh. So, Here's the thing.
I also got Alistair. For anybody that is not a S.H.I.E.L.D. person, they got Bae, or Baya, or whatever her name is, which sucks because she's my favorite one.
I don't even call her by her American, the English name. I just call her Saito, which is her Japanese name. It's so much easier trying to not pronounce Bae or B or
Baya
or whatever. just Saito.
I think it's Bae. I think it's actually supposed to be Bae.
Like Bae Arthur?
But with Alistair's pretty cool though. I would take Alistair over some of the other people that are eventually gym leaders. Like I personally think Kabu was like the weakest of him because they kept bringing him up as like he's the one that true gym challengers either they beat him or they give up, and I'm like, oh my god, this guy's gonna be fucking crazy. They're gonna really test me. And then I floored his gym, and I was like, how? I thought this was supposed to be
honestly
hard.
I had more trouble with Nessa than I did with him.
Well, I wanted to bring this up because, like, since you bring up Kabu, there's a rumor going around about him in particular, not about like his gym, but his character.
Well, yeah, but he's from the Hoenn region. He's originally from a different place. I know that.
Yeah, they're saying that's Flannery's grandfather.
Well, a lot of people say he's Mads Mikkelsen because he's in every single video game these days.
Who?
He looks like Mads Mikkelsen. He's the guy that was in Doctor Strange. He's in Death Stranded. He was Hannibal in the show Hannibal.
Oh, okay.
Mads Mikkelsen. You'd recognize him once you saw his face. You're like, oh my god, yeah, that guy. But yeah, he looks a lot like him, which was always funny to me. But yeah, no, I'm interested in maybe some of the weird lore, but if it's such one of those things where you have to like go out on the internet or you have to really dig into the mystery of the Pokemon that has to do with going to the Wikipedia and looking up old entries in the Hoenn region and all that type of stuff. Sorry, you lost me as a storyteller, because instead of putting that stuff in the game and fleshing out his character, you decided to just have him be this mysterious character. And I guess it feeds the mystery, it feeds game theorists and all that type of stuff, but it ruins his character because now he's just based off of theories rather than he's supposed to be the one guy that came back from, being in like the minor leagues to being now a gym leader again. And he is the roadblock that most people in the Galar region fail to pass. And his gym challenge is the easiest gym challenge out of all of them. Fuck, I had more trouble with Wooloo than I had with fucking catching Vulpix. It feels like his character was supposed to be this big thing, and then he just gets sort of kicked aside. Hell, I fought Nessa again in the tournament. I never even saw him again. After he's like, rah, 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 you're the best! And then I never saw him again after that in S.H.I.E.L.D. Maybe he does more stuff in Sword, but he wasn't that interesting of a gym leader. He's the only person out of all the gym leaders that I was like, I mean, Milo's pretty simple, but he's a farm boy. He's the first gym leader. It's like saying Brock is complicated.
Brock is complicated.
Brock is complicated in the anime. He's not complicated in the Pokemon. He just stands up there and puts his arms up in an X cross.
And he's buff.
Yes, maybe.
Brock the Rock.
And he has no shirt on in certain versions. But regardless, I'm not expecting like a huge amount of story, but hell, fucking Miss Opal got way more screen time than like some of the others.
Yeah. And she moves so slow.
Yes, she does.
And they decided to hang sometimes on when she moves places.
But and she's super creepy that she's like, I watched your Pokemon battle. Here, have some revives. Actually, that's something, I mean, not to get into too much spoilers yet about the story, but the ominous feeling of always being handed revives is super scary in the grand scheme of the storyline plot. Like, every single time, Doom Destruction is like, oh, you learned something about the darkest day. Here, have a revive. Don't worry about it, though. It's fine. Like, oh, Jesus.
It's like the game saying, you're gonna need these.
No. Opal is up there, and just it's just gym leaders that they just creep me out. Like they're great characters, but they creep me out. Like the first, and they're both fairy gym leaders. Like the first fairy gym leader was Valerie in X and Y, and she creeped me out. Not because she was a fairy gym leader, is that when she opened her eyes, she had butterfly eyes.
Oh fuck, I remember that.
Yeah, and I was just like, no, close your eyes, please.
Isn't that a makeup option now? Did your character have? Oh, they can't. Okay, I know you have hearts and stuff.
No, you can't. But like, I did run around for a while with heart eyes, and I would enter a rage with friends like, "Look, heart eyes, motherfucker." But
yeah, like all the gym leaders. I had a big. I have to also state that Leon himself, I don't really get why he's champion. He sort of feels like a really cheap version of Lance.
Man, that was a champion time. And people said Hop was annoying.
Like, you know who the more interesting person is his rival, Rahane. Yeah. He's the best. He's the best boy. That is best boy of Pokemon Sword and Shield right there.
Like, but like, I had problems with him at first, only because he was a product of our time. Because, like, if you read his I almost said guild card. Oh my god! If you read his league card, it says
guild card. Please send guild card.
I swear to God, if you make your message on Shield, send league card.
Send league card. Yeah.
He's a product. Like, he was a product of like our time and culture, where he's just like, oh hey, even in the middle of battle, I like to take selfies. What?
It's so endearing. His rom-tom is amazing. Like, next time you're fighting him, pay attention to the rom-tom. Like, it flies around, it takes pictures and other things during your battle with him.
Oh, his Rotom? Yeah.
Yeah, his Rotom. And then at the end, when he's like, oh, whatever, I lost, but whatever, you see it, it's all like, oh, yeah, he's trying his best. It feels sad for him. And you're just like, it's an interesting twist on that selfie-taking idea of, like, people that are self-absorbed in a certain sense, but to have it be a Pokemon that is also just as much into it as he is, it's kind of endearing, personally. It's like, it's something that the two of them share that's unique between the two of them. But I do get his first impression. Like, a first impression of seeing a guy that does that, you're just like, oh, guys, surfer dude. Like, this is our generation of surfer dudes. Right?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. But, like, I will admit, though, like, going into his gym, I was terrified because I almost lost that match. For real.
That was the first double gym match, I think. I've never had to do a double gym battle like that before.
I've never... Like, I've done a lot of double battles, but, like, that Sandaconda really wrecked my team.
Joe, the ones in the wild were killing me.
Sandaconda's new best snake.
Arbok will always be best true snake.
Since we're talking about the gyms, one thing I want to bring up is I like that these gyms were a good mix of the classic gyms and the challenges from 7th gen. Like, one thing that I didn't like about 7th gens as much as I found some of the challenges were great, but then some of them were just like, oh, go here and do this. It's like, okay, you couldn't have just put a bunch of gym trainers in there and just let me fight them like every other gym? No, just go do this thing. Okay, whatever, fine. Some of them were stupid and pointless. But, like, what I like in this one is it was a good mix. Yeah, I might have been pissed off at the fucking Wooloos. The first gym. It's like,
am I the only person here who didn't have problems with the Wooloo?
I didn't.
It's not that you have a problem. It's just, it's very easy that one of the Wooloos can get away from you, and then you have to just run back, and it's just annoying, right? Like, you understand the mechanic, and then one of those Wooloos will just be like, nah, I'm not part of that.
Like Nessa's gym, for example, I got a flashback to Mega Man Battle Network when you had to turn the steam off. Like,
it looks like it. It looks like
they use the water, and I like that there was a good mix. The one gym that I thought was stupid was the fairy one. because
the quiz where she's interviewing to take over.
Because one of the questions, a couple of the questions, fuck with you. Like the one where she's like, "How old am I?" I told the truth, and she's like, "Yeah, but it's not nice to tell the truth."
You're not wrong, but you could have been nicer.
It's like, fuck you. I'm like, this is why I'm like, you are not like, listen, lady, you are not helping your case with fairy type Pokemon and me. I already don't like them. You're making it worse.
But but to be fair, like. Part of me was like, when she's like, what's my favorite color? It's pink or purple. Like, that's a fucking trick-ass question. It's goddamn purple. Like, like, I guess it's the same thing. It's like, do you flatter her or do you tell the truth? Now, she tells you that you have to get the answer right. So you answer the right question, but you still get it wrong because you didn't take her feelings into account. And that's a trickery. That's something that fairies do. They play tricks like that. So it fits in with the theming, obviously. Now it's annoying and everybody hates it because it's like harsh speed penalty. So you're already really slow Pokemon.
And then it's like, oh yeah, you want to play tricks like that? Okay, Trick Room. There you go. But just getting back, like for example, Piers's gym. I really liked that because it was a reference. It kind of felt like a reference to Streets of Rage. I just realized it halfway through. I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, this seems oddly familiar.
Go straight.
But yeah.
His gym really didn't have anything really to it. That was the only problem. The aesthetic, super cool. Part of Marnie's story, super cool. You know, him not liking Dynamax, super cool. His actual gym battle, though, I mean, alright. It's sort of like a cage punk fight, but he doesn't Dynamax, and Team Yell's there.
Yeah,
because of course they are.
But he's still
like, you just walk in, boom, you fight him, done.
But he still like beats his first opponent without Dynamaxing in the end tournament. Like, I'm like, holy shit, he actually won. Like, there's a reason why he's that late in the game. But it's cool to see. It's also cool to see, like, when I did my rematch against Nessa, it was cool to see old gym leaders that were quote unquote the easier ones or the first ones come back with a completely new set of Pokemon or evolutions of their previous Pokemon, and they're just as tough as some of the later fights as well. Like, I was glad to see that. It's what I like to call Brock syndrome. Is Brock is cool on the surface, but then once you're level 60, his level 12 Onix is not that fucking scary. Like, it's not. He loses his own. So when we get to go back and fight them, and that's why I thought the battle towers in previous games were interesting, because it's like a what-if scenario of what if we fought Misty at this level now. Yeah.
And it's cool to have that tournament aspect being part of the story, and that all these gym leaders aren't just gym leaders because they're gym leaders. They're vying for the champion spot just like you are.
Yeah.
And they just specialize in Pokemon.
And that was something that I always thought in the back of my mind when I was doing this. I'm like, oh yeah, of course they would have stronger Pokemon later on. Because, like, my first thought was like, well, in the Pokemon anime, and I know the anime has nothing, doesn't have anything to do with the canon of the games, but like in the anime, Gary didn't get his badges in order. Like, he got badges different thoughts. And I always thought, like, do the gym leaders have other Pokemon at different levels that they have with them in case they get a certain level of challenger? Or how does that work? And this game kind of was just like, okay, well, you have to fight them in this order still, but they still have better Pokemon. Like, they're not complete pushovers when you get to the tournament.
Yeah, there's a reason why they're a gym leader, right? And that's like, I had to refight Alistair as well, and his ghost team was scary as all hell. I heard you can fight Melanie as well. Like, I'm fairly sure that, like, you get a rematch, one against one of the starter people, and then one rematch against one of your unique gym leaders. So, I don't know, did you guys fight Bay?
Yeah. I did.
You know what, there was so much I wanted to say, but the conversation flowed away.
Sorry.
We do this. This is the welcome to the 100 Base podcast, where nothing stays the same ever.
Yeah, when you complete the game, when you complete everything past post and stuff like that, you can go back and do the tournament. You can invite every single gym leader back to the tournament and see all their different Pokemon.
Oh, so it's not like you're locked out of fighting all of them again.
Yeah, you can, like, say, like, you were saying, like, you was talking about earlier about Kabu not being like the roadblock that he is. You can invite him back into the tournament and fight him eventually, and you can see like him at his strongest.
Yeah, but at the same time, that's not indicative of the story that is being told.
Because I was gonna say, I think the tournament's the same every time the first time, because my brother got the same challengers I did.
Yeah. The first time you get the same. You get the same the same challengers and stuff like that. You fight Nessa, or if you're playing Shield, you fight Alistair. It's just you can fight all these other random trainers though when you're doing the tournament like post game. Like there's this trainer. It was like an older trainer. Like dude had to be like a grandpa who was still a gym trainer, and he had a really strong team. So you do see the other competitors who didn't make the cut in the story in the tournament, but you can also invite all the gym leaders. You can invite Hop back. You can invite Leon back. It's just a lot of just.
So wait a minute. You can actually defend your title.
That's pretty much what it is. It's like you're defending your title. The tournament at the end of the game, like the post game, is like you're not defending your title, but you're just basically doing like super strong exhibition matches and stuff like that.
Battle royale, like a proper battle royale.
Yeah, and it's pretty fun. Like I did one recently, and I invited.
That's good. That's good that there's a single player alternative to some of the online stuff. Because like that type of tournament would be against real people. There's a beginnings one that's coming up, which you guys should register for, by the way. If you want free BP. In the versus tab on your Pokemon thing, there's a competition going around right now that I think you have. It sets all your Pokemon to level 50, and it will reward you just for participating by having one battle online. Whether you win or lose, you get 50 BP, which you can use to spend on like PP ups or like enhance for like stats and other things like that, and especially unique hold items. So if you're like, I want to evolve my Dustox or whatever, and it needs that weird veil thing, you can give it the veil and then trade it, and then boom, you got your super Duxos or whatever it's called.
I'll have to do that afterwards then.
Yeah. Only the one thing to note, only that game, only one cartridge can have one account linked to the tournament at a time. So it can't be like, just say you and Brock use the same cart, which I don't know if you do or not.
We do, because he doesn't have a Switch.
Okay. So yours would be linked, but he would not be able to participate because your user is linked to the competition.
That's fine. He doesn't have Nintendo Online. So he can't do it anyways.
But yeah, definitely sign up for that, because it's just take your Pokemon in. You can give them whatever items you want, as long as they're able to be caught in the Galar region. You can have a 3-person battle with some random person and collect BP. And I know there's bigger rewards the higher up in the ranks you are, but I ain't getting there. I'll get my free 50 BP for participating and moving on, which I'm interested to know, because maybe you've played it more, Kirby, but I haven't played almost the online at all. I've been only on local play for most of my playthrough.
I've been doing a lot of raiding. I was raiding with a lot of people, a lot of different streamers. I think the best thing to do, if you just enjoy playing just the Pokemon without having to worry about doing competition, is to go online and just do raids, because it's fun to see other players. Well, first off, it's fun to see how other players customize their characters, but it also is fun to see what Pokemon they use, what strategy they use, who friended this own because they decided to use Surf or Boom Burst and Earthquake on a fight and just wipe out the entire team.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I haven't done any Wi-Fi, not yet. I'm ever trying to put together a Wi-Fi tournament where you just use, instead of just worrying about like EV training or IV IVs and stuff like that. You just bring in like Pokemon that you like, just casually that you caught and stuff like that, and it's just a casual battle tournament.
Yeah. Pokemon Stadium rules.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So this, and like I said, it's the online is not bad. The only problem I had with it was just this was probably just at launch, and this was a problem actually prevalent to a point where they actually had to shut down the online for a bit. Was there was connection issues, like heavy connection issues, and they fixed it. It does run smoother now, and then the wild area doesn't lag when you're online.
It still does for me. Because I've done it recently, and it still does.
I mean, there is points where like it does kind of hiccup, where it's like it's loading, like you're transitioning from one area to another, and like there's a different weather pattern, and you're just like, I'm going from this one area, and suddenly there's a blizzard. But like other than that, like going online and doing things, doing raids, trading with people, I haven't had any problems since they fixed the issue from at launch. So
the only stuttering I've ever come across, or longer waits for certain thing, has to do with the weather system. I guess it's just to properly it must go through a certain like algorithm to make sure that things don't get screwed up. And that's why sometimes it just takes a little extra for it to load after a sunny day, or after hail or rain gets swapped on the field, whether it's in the battle or outside of it.
I did notice a performance dip on some battles with trainers in the game when you initiate it. You can tell when you look at like the original screen where it says such and such wants to battle. It shows your trainer and the other trainer. That screen sometimes has a frame drop, I've noticed, and sometimes it holds on until the actual battle starts. But that doesn't take me out of the game.
Oh no, like that's what I'm saying. Like I'm not uninvested just because I had to wait like half a second.
No, I'm not saying that, but I'm like saying like that's not something where I'm like that's not a huge deal to me. Whereas like the original way it was when you went online, that was a little more. It's like, okay, the game is tanking just to like do basic stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, do we want to? I know we've bounced around a bit, but do we want to talk about our feelings on, without spoiling too much, on the story and of the main game, possibly some of the post game?
Yeah, I mean, to put it, my TLDR for this really is just I was more invested than I thought I would be.
Yeah.
Towards the end, like it was one of those things where at first I was like, okay, yeah, I like the idea of like the Pokemon gyms being like a sporting competition, like a proper entertainment. Because like I always felt like, and this is something that Let's Go Eevee and Pikachu did, is actually put people in the crowd. Like people that actually watch gym battles, like you would go and watch a hockey game or a football game. Like this is their form of entertainment. And to have a region that took that to like the 10th level, and everybody's like into it, and like kids participate in these gym challenges but it has to be endorsed and all that type of stuff. I was like, this really feels like a really interesting plot. Now, I feel like the back end story, it's sort of like what happened in X and Y, is there's all this stuff that happened in the past and we're like hinted about it, and then it just so happens that the darkest day is right around the corner. Mm-hmm. Like it definitely felt like it was stapled on just to give us that legendary story. Rather than it being like this Pokemon is passed down from champion to champion to champion, and now you get the shield, or now you get the sword, which is this legendary Pokemon. And it still does give you that feeling, but it's not part of the championship. It's not really linked to it, other than the fact that the main villain is a part of it.
Yeah, and it doesn't actually become a thing, like, unlike in previous games where you'd have Team Rocket or whatever doing stuff and you'd have to go do stuff for them. Team Yell's more of a support thing in this one. They're not really, I mean, they stop you, but it's like...
they're not an evil team. Like, they're not
evil, and that's the thing, like, and it was one of those things that every single person I've watched play this game was like, called it, they're like, this guy's evil. Like, they knew it. Like,
yeah, the guy that you think is evil, yes, it's a spoiler, but the guy you think is evil, yes, you're right.
Yeah.
But, like, I want to point this out, and I mentioned this a lot of people, though. Just the overall tone of the Galar region, I said, this is the nicest region I've been in. Not just, like, looks and sketchy. Like, no, everyone is unapologetically nice. Even the villain. Like, he's just a nice guy. I'm just like, no, I'm supposed to not like you as a villain, but no, you're just a nice guy who's just doing something wrong.
Maybe we didn't see it that way because we're Canadian and we just expect that up front.
Yeah, I guess I was like, people are nice normally. I don't know what's wrong with you. Like, what happens to you, poor Kirby? I'm sorry. I'm sorry for the people being an asshole for you. That's how Canadian we are.
It's just, I guess my American sensibilities was just like, this is weird. But no, it's just like everyone was just nice, and even when characters that were supposed to be mean were just like, they were just, it wasn't like they were like mean, they were just like slightly obnoxious, like Bede.
Bede was like, I was going to say,
I don't know, Bede did some seriously bad things.
No, I will not contest that. What he did in the story was terrible, but he was also just, he had a reason for doing it.
Oh, for sure.
And it was just like,
yeah, he has like, everybody had an extra layer to their story. Like, I was so glad to see Hop, like, finally a rival that takes losing seriously. Like, for example, everybody likes the douche that is Gary, but in the end, he's still just a douche the entire way through. Like, he doesn't really, like, yes, there's the fan theory where his Eradicate died and, like, you destroyed his dreams and all that type of stuff, which is funny in its own compartmentalized headcanon. But still, at least when he lost to you, Hop's like, oh, of course you'll beat this gym. I just beat it, but you beat me all the time, so this is great. We're on this journey together regardless. Like, he's not worried for you. He's saying, oh, that was hard. And he loses one of his gyms, which is really good to see, too. Like, at first I thought Hops was going to be that annoying rival, sort of like in Let's Go Eevee and Pikachu. That rival guy, I hated him. Like, he had no he had no real purpose of being there other than just to shift Gary away from being his douche nozzle self. By just being this happy preppy kid that somehow just becomes champion, and then you defeat him and he's like, yeah, that's how it was supposed to go. Yeah. And you're just like, are you goddamn serious? Like, Hop wants to beat you still.
Yeah, and
like, eventually I will beat you and I will become champion. And you're like, yes, that's what I want in a rival. That's what I want my Naruto character.
I like that Hop had an arc. He starts off being better than you and more knowledgeable than you because he's, the champion's little brother. Of course he's going to have a lot more knowledge because that stuff probably just gets passed down. But then when he has that loss in the middle, you start to see him shift from being like, well, maybe I don't know everything there is to know about Pokemon. Maybe I'm actually whatever. And then, I don't want to spoil it too much, but at the end, like, after everything in the post-game, he finds where he belongs as a trainer. And, like, it's not, again, this is Pokemon storyline, so it's not super heavy or super deep or anything, but, like, it was nice to see him have an actual arc. Whereas with some of the friggin' rivals, like, for example, like, I'm talking main line rivals, like the guy in Let's Go, and how I didn't get them. I was like, I don't get what, like, I just find you both annoying. Like, he was hopped up on shit, pun intended, but like he was just really excited.
Go get an attitude, that English, everything's bright on the other side of darkness, you know how it is. And he's like pointing, and it's like one thunder and lightning happening in the background. Somehow he's capable of seeing the good. It's a trait that British people have because they live in a place where it's mostly gray for like 90% of their lives. And it's an interesting little thing to have him go through. And the one thing that stuck out to me, the cutscene that stuck out to me the most, is after you beat him. I think it's after the 4th gym. You beat him on the bridge that's leading into going to the next area, and the camera gets close, but it takes a shot from behind him. And the first thing, he doesn't say anything. He just lowers his head. You don't even see his face while he describes. He's like, after losing to Bede and him saying that I was a tarnish on my brother's life, I actually felt it because it was all put in his emotion, and you didn't even see his face. Just the way that he stood and put his head down. I was like, yeah, okay, I like Hop now. Hop's my best boy. Please protect. Though I will destroy you in a Pokemon battle.
I will destroy you if you strays against me, but you're my child.
I swear to God, Hop, stop in our double battle sending out Wooloo, and why does it still no defense curl?
Hey man, that Wooloo kicks ass. It double kicked that fucking Zigzagoon. When did
it do that?
Oh man, it kicked his ass in my playthrough. His Wooloo was fucking Swoloo.
He never did it in mine. In fact, when near the end game, before you fight the champion, where you have to do that whole thing in the one tower, he used defense curl. I think I counted it 16 times.
What a good boy!
And how many times did his goat thing or his sheep thing die? Every battle. It's like
I don't know. His Wooloo was kick ass for me.
Well, you got the.
I was so happy when his Wooloo evolved into double game.
Yeah.
Just yes. No longer are you a Wooloo.
Oh, but yeah, that's just one of the rivals, which is really, really cool because a lot of people will always point at N as being like one of the most, I guess story-wise, has the most backstory and time given to him to develop as a rival, and why he's important to Black and White and Black and White too. But these ones are the ones that all three of them I liked. And Leon is the only, if you count him as a rival, because he's the champion, he's the ultimate goal, right? So he can't be too involved in the story outside of I killed this Galarian abomination Meowth. I got him. Don't worry, everything's fine. You get the newspaper article and stuff of him, that type of stuff. In the background, he's doing stuff, but he himself as a champion he was the only non-memorable character. Obviously he's like I said, he's the big goal at the end, but his team wasn't really that amazing. His Dynamaxing was okay. It's Charizard. Okay. Well, I wasn't taken by surprise by him. Now, yes, I know that there's post-game stuff.
No.
I'm talking about the story in general. He wasn't the final boss that I was hoping for.
Well, okay. I can see that, but I was gonna say, there was instances and scenes where you actually see him in a different light. You encounter him most of the time. He's really positive, upbeat, and stuff like that. He shows that he cares for his brother and everything. But that entire long cutscene when he's up there talking with and Rose. This is spoilers, with Rose and stuff like that, and he's just like, "Yo, I get it. I understand how you feel, but that's in the future. You shouldn't worry about it and everything." And he was just like, he was trying to talk this man down for making a bad mistake. And that's what was solidified for me that Leon was just more than just an end goal and stuff like that. That he had his own personality and he did see things around him. He got lost 90% of the time.
Well, yeah, he always says 90%. So the 10% of the time is when he's a good person. I don't want to say that he was a bad person. It just felt like he didn't really lift up very much. I actually have to say Piers did a lot more of the groundwork to topple the final big baddie of the game. Getting you and Hops in there by helping out. That's what I thought obviously Leon would do. Now, yes, he's up against the big bad Pokemon at the end, right? But it's just Leon's down on the ground. Who's possibly going to be able to save us? And then we get fucking hype Pokemon to the max because of obviously story reasons. But it's still I don't know. It's cool. I knew that he was a good guy already. I didn't need this affirmation that he is he has a different worldview than everybody else. He is more along the worldview that the player is supposed to have up to that. But he lacks I guess his flaw is the fact that he lacks in taking that next step and saying, no, bad guy, this is not a discussion. Now you have to pay for what you've done because you're putting all of Galera in jeopardy. And he doesn't take that next step. He just sort of lets it happen to a point where bad things just happen. And now we're all stuck in that situation until a 10-year-old comes and fixes it. Now, I will state in that conversation that you were talking about, I did like the fact that Pokemon addressed something that is always very important just in society, and I think it's very good to teach kids at a young age, that people have disagreements. People have good ideas and good intentions, but those disagreements are what cause a lot of the problems in our world, and they're here to stay, and it's something that you have to get used to as an adult. Right? There are consequences versus rewards and all that type of stuff. And Pokemon does a very good job in teaching that. And it's always done it. And now, obviously, in that conversation was a lot more blunt than a lot of the other things, like teaching Giovanni the necessary ideologies of friendship and all that type of stuff. But, it's a clever way of mixing in good, relevant storytelling. Like, for example, and I know some people have their different ideologies about Frozen, but true love, right? True love has always been a staple in most Disney products. But a lot of the times people just assume true love is between a man or a woman, right? It's like a love thing. Whereas you can have true love with your sister. You can love your sister tremendously, but it doesn't have to be sexual. It still means you can love. And I think that's something that Pokemon does very, very well, is it's able to take those semi-complicated things and at least move it in a direction where a child between the ages of 10 and 15 could really understand it. Because that's when they're coming and growing into the world and becoming adults. Like, it's a coming-of-age story. Like, that's what Pokemon's been about. And this is probably one of the more stronger versions without it taking over. Because that was the problem with X and Y. The story just fucking took over after a while. And it went in weird directions. Where it's like, oh yeah, I built this machine underground and created this gigantic super tower that harnesses the power of the X and Y gamma rays or whatever the villain power of the week was. And I mean, I guess that sort of happens in this game too, but it's a little bit more interesting, I guess, is the fact that they're feeding these wishing stars to this ancient creature.
They're using the power of the wishing stars to empower it. Like, it's like these. They basically took the star piece, like the meteorites and star pieces that fell in the sky, just to be a power boost.
Well, they used him as a battery, didn't they? I thought that was the whole thing, that they were using him to power the whole Galar region. Well, or he was going to be the sustainable energy or something that would have them run for thousands of years or whatever.
Oh, yeah. No, you're right. I had to think about it. Yeah.
Yeah. And we all know that feeding power to a power-hungry Pokemon, that sounds like a good idea. Groudon.
What did... No, I clicked back onto the Pokemon chat, and that picture threw me off so hard.
What, the Pikachu? Oh, no, the Kyogre. And Rick was just like, the fuck?
The fuck? Happens when
that's not what I ordered.
Pokemon things. But yeah, what Zero, you've actually been relatively quiet when it comes to the story. Was there anything that were you impressed by it, or were you just sort of like, Pokemon?
Well, first and foremost, what I'll say is, from the aspect of the story when it comes to the gym challenge, I think that this game did right that Sun and Moon did wrong. Like Sun and Moon, yeah, it's the whole point of it was you're in a whole different region with Alola, and things don't work the same. Like gyms and everything don't work the same with us. And I was really interested in that. I'm like, oh yeah, I can't wait to try out this. They're finally making changes to Pokemon to a formula that that needed updating. But then as I played it, I was like, man, I kind of just want to go back to the old formula. Like, that's the way it was. And this game kind of just takes the old formula and improves it instead of trying to do something too different. And I think that was the problem with 7th Gen, is that it tried to be too different. And I don't hate the 7th Gen games, but I don't think I'll be replaying them anytime soon, unless I do a Let's Play, which is possible. Like, somebody might request that I do that. So, and I probably will play it again at some point. But it's like, because there's the best example I can think of the formula getting stale is 4th Gen, and them trying to do something new is 7th Gen and not working. This is kind of like where they actually got it right. It actually feels like, yes, it's the same. Like, if you think about it on a base level, it's the same old Pokemon it's always been. You go get the badges, you fight the champion, yada, 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 all that stuff. But the way it executed makes all the difference. Because it's not the same old. You're still, you're now like essentially like people think the champion as a celebrity. Well, now you've got the eyes on you all the time. Like people, like you said, mentioned people will give you revives all the time and try to help you out, and people will be nice, like you said, Kirby, because they know that you're a challenger and you're trying to get there. Like you're not like in like 1st or 2nd Gen where people are just like, oh, hey, you're a trainer, cool. You happen to have Pokeballs. You must be a trainer then. Like, it's
people refer to you as the challenger quite a bit, and they want to fight you specifically because you are the challenger.
It adds a new layer that I wasn't expecting, I would say, in this, and I think it makes the whole main story of Pokemon. Because let's be honest, Pokemon does not have that great of a story, and when they try, well, doesn't turn out very well. Like,
hi, Ann, and your weird backstory. Are you a Pokemon? I think he's a Pokemon.
The best attempt I can say is when they did Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, because they refined the 3rd Gen story, because 3rd Gen tried really hard to have a good story, and it wasn't. And then when they did the remakes, they kind of fixed a lot of things, and I'm like, oh, okay, this makes a lot more sense. But Pokemon is weird in terms of RPGs, because it's not about the story, which most RPGs are. This is the first time it's really about the story. And so I thought it was interesting that they made it's familiar, but it's familiar in a whole new way, I think, I would say. Now,
it feels more justified. It feels more justified. Like, I know this sounds like really, really petty of a thing, but I always like to know the reason why I'm doing something.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, when I was younger, when I was 10 years old, playing Pokemon, just here's your little creatures, go out in there and make them fight. Like, it's super simple, and you're just like, okay, and that's what you do. You don't really pay attention to like some of the more nuances that the game was sort of trying to hint at. Like, not trying in your face to like shove backstory down your throat. But this one is a clear objective that makes sense why my character is doing this. This isn't just sort of like, Mom wants me out of the house because she wants to bang Professor Oak. You know, where you have to make up your own theories on why. It's like, no, you are participating in something that almost everyone in the Galar region has participated in at some point.
Now, all that being said, the shit near the end of the game with the Pokemon energy source and stuff, and I know they were hinting at it in different parts, that was like, I get the whole point of it, I get the whole reasoning for it, but like, it was like too much all at once is what it was. It was way too much all at once. They should have spaced it out a little bit more by, and I guess that like, that's one of the weak hits you take with making Team Yell not the villains, just making them kind of like assholes who block your way, or lovable idiots, I guess you could say.
I believe the British term is twat.
Or chads, I don't know.
They're just about so chads and twats.
That bunch of wankers they are.
Just a bunch of wankers.
But no,
my favorite is like, can I pass? Like, yes, you won't wake up the snake. You can pass. They just let an old lady pass, but you, not you.
Yeah.
I was like,
you're going to be loud and
Yeah, they're like, we're not gonna. The normal people are allowed to do whatever they want. We're not going to interfere with their lives.
But you're a challenger, so we have to interfere with you. It's just the thing
because Marnie is the only one that can win.
It's just the thing near the end is just like guys, you and X and Y did this too. It's like you can't put the majority of your story at the end of the game. You got to space it out a little bit more. And it was the one part, and I'm just like, at first I thought when I was playing the game, I'm like, I guess there's no evil corporation stuff in this one. I guess it's just about the gym challenge. And then, like, after a couple of times of meeting such and such character, I'm not going to say who it is because spoilers, it was like, they're the villain. They're obviously the villain. And, like, there's, like, one point where you find out they own, like, a factory or something. It's like, they're the villain. It's like, I know who it is.
Well, yeah, I think it was actually Sophie.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of which, Sonia, oh my god, thank god we finally got an actual professor that has a story. That isn't just, I know, like, some people like, does she break the tradition of professors having wood-related names? Maybe there's probably a Sonia tree or something. But regardless, we actually see someone become a professor.
Well, she's not the professor at first. That's the thing. Yeah. So it doesn't really break the tradition in my eyes because the one we have is the actual professor. But
she's with you along the journey. This isn't like just Professor Oak just showing up because he's got his good friend Bill, or hey, I made my way to the Indigo Plateau to pat you on the back and scold my son.
Or you know, I was coming this way anyway because I was going to do my radio show to talk about Pokemon or read haikus because that's what I did in the anime.
Okay. See, like, she actually feels like she's part of the mystery, right? She is that link to what is going on in the background of your gym challenge. Mm-hmm. And whether you pay attention to it or not is really up to the trainer, right? So I think that's the good thing is, like, a lot of the times people get roped into this type of weird level of shit without fully comprehending it. Like, that's sort of what happens to your trainer, is you sort of, like, as you talk to her and you deduce the story about the Pokemon, there's two heroes, and Sword and Shield, and this, like, evil creature, the Darkest Day. Like, obviously, like you said, it feels like it's backloaded in the end. And I don't know how they could have really like introduced it, like, just say, like, because this is a cataclysm, right? Like, this is something that, like, I always jump to 14, but, like, they do that type of stuff where there's a cataclysm that's happening, it's going to happen, and they have to visually show it. Like, Final Fantasy VII had to do this too. Like, once the meteor gets summoned in that story, then it's always in the sky looming over, and you never really feel like the weight of all the stuff that came before Meteor is trivial in comparison to the dread that is now befallen the world. So I understand why back-ending it may have been a better option, because it's sort of what I call the Fallout 4 syndrome is, you know, you go into a vault, you watch your spouse get shot and your baby taken, and your first objective is to take off all your clothes and run around in a circle. You know, like, there's parts of the story that do not feed well into the gameplay, and I could see that a Doomsday event, like this Darkest Day that they talk about, being halfway through the game rather than towards the very tail end of the game would cause a dramatic shift in how the story would be told. We'd be really wondering why everybody's so cheery. Right? Like, if you went to the thing and, like, oh, here comes Ball Guy, and he's giving you the apocalypse ball.
Okay, best character's Ball Guy.
The world's ending, and
the world's ending. He's over here, pelvic thrusting. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, just thrusting his balls out.
Here, have some of my balls.
Yeah. No, but I will take it in. I want to put it in a different perspective, where, like, because, you know, you had Sonya, you know, meeting you in these places, telling you about what's going on, and, you know, sharing the lore of the region and stuff like that, you were getting, like, subtle hints that something may be going on because they're bringing this up more and more and stuff like that. And then you had the instance where Leon had to take care of, you know, the giant cat thing that scares CJ. And, you know,
fucking gremlin, whatever the fuck that thing is. No, I went into Route 6 saying, "What the fuck is that?" It charged at me. I was like, "Nope, no, not happening." It scared the shit. It was under a bridge, Kirby. It was under a bridge. So fucking scary.
You have these like little small hints of instances and stuff like that, and you had, the guy telling you about, oh, this is how this works. This is how this works, and you had Sonya talking about this and that and this and that, and so you had these characters telling you about everything that was going on in the background. But like, I think what really hurt it for a lot of people was the fact that your character had no direct input until the end. Like, this is where you were saying that the event was just backloaded. There was no input for your character in the story until the end.
Mm-hmm. You talked to Sonya. Like, I mean, it didn't change the eventuality of the story, and I'm not expecting
to the point that Sonya became
that requires everything to have multiple choice in it to be a good video game.
The problem is it made Sonya essentially a plot dump for a lot of the game, and it's like, why don't you just incorporate the character more into the story? Like, it's just
that is how she's incorporated, because she's on a different adventure than you. She's not becoming a challenger.
I know, but I'm talking about our character. Why does this matter to us until the very end? It doesn't really matter to us until the very end, and that's what I think is like a missed opportunity. But I mean, I don't think it's bad because it's Pokemon. I don't expect it to have a good story. If it has one, great. But I don't know. I like Sonya as a character, but like, it didn't help my thoughts about this end plot thing. I just remember it being like, well, this happened. Like.
I mean, I will give you it didn't really feel that dramatic of like this big cataclysmic world ending thing. Like, it's like you said, like X and Y, where it just sort of comes out of left field, and now we went from like 5 to like 18 in why this is incredibly important and why you need to stop Rose. Right? So it's like, I don't know. I don't think it's a bad plot, because it just feels like there was two sort of parallel plots happening at the same time, and one of them was more interesting than the other, and that's where the failing happens, right? Is if you were listening to Sonya, like, I love lore, so I read all of her things. I read the extra tapestries when you go up and investigate them. Like, I do those things, and it paints a much better picture about what is actually going on in the region, as well as talking to every NPC. But if you're just playing Pokemon, and you're just going from point A to point B, you're doing the gym challenge, which is your original goal, I could see, like you said, you could just be mashing through that or not really paying attention because it's not the next gym battle. It's not the next stage that you're used to doing in your Pokemon formula. So I see where Kirby's coming from too. The idea that it is there, like it's not hidden, but I can see that it can be easily skipped over because it's not given as much emphasis as what your main goal is to become the greatest Pokemon trainer master of all time, right?
Yeah.
So, and by the end of it, you save the world and you're still battling Pokemon, still doing the same old.
What I will say though is that I think the things that were the best in terms of the storyline is that it really was the individual characters that really made it. Like one of the things that I'm finding, because I'm replaying X and Y for a Let's Play, I'm finding that, it's great. You have all these rivals, but and they all have their own goals, but I don't feel any growth. They still feel the same as they were when I started the game. In this game, you've got several rivals, and they all have their own arcs. Maybe, not all of them are as big as Hops, but then you've got Bede, Bidet, whatever the fuck you say his name. He starts off as a pompous asshole, but a pompous asshole because he has an ulterior motive because the chairman wants him to go find the wishing stars. And,
he has that disposition of feeling as if he's not worth it. And someone finally said, "Nah, you worth it." Gave him a Pokemon, gave him a purpose, right? Because he was an orphan as well. It's good storytelling that we understand where he ends up, and it's ironic what ends up happening to him. And
I think
not to a detriment to his character, to actually make him a better person.
Oh
which
yeah,
I thought was really neat.
It improved his character. Like from that point on, it's like yeah, it's funny. He's the spoiler, but like at the same time, it's like that kind of redeemed his character, and he was already almost exclusively using that type of Pokemon, anyways, except for psychics. But
he uses more psychic Pokemon, and by the end of the game, he's only using one type.
Yeah, but But yeah,
he's always been pink though,
and
always pink. So much pink,
pink. I love that.
That granny bad touch with her yelling "pink" behind him. Oh man,
yeah. But what I do want to say is, and admittedly, there's not a lot of development, but she's still my favorite character and favorite rival is Marnie, because she
fits the appearances can be deceiving.
I get why Team Yell is rooting for her. I saw her once. I'm like, you need to be protected. Like,
it's not.
I will protect you. But she's also, but on top of that, she's even though she's like adorable and I love her, she's also a badass motherfucker, because she like just little things like her, like, of course, like she's like Pierce's little sister. And so she probably grew up in that whole like British punk kind of like lifestyle area, but like little things like when she throws her Pokeball, she's like, it's like I get the vibe of like, okay, she's had to throw rocks at fucking assholes before, like from that kind of like thing. Her shoes, like her heels, the heel is a spike. That's fucking badass. Like just like little things about her and her Pokemon, like it's adorable, but at the same time, it creeps me the fuck out.
Oh yeah, the Redamoke or whatever.
Yeah, it has. Called? Well, not only does it when it's happy, like the thing is when it's hangry. It's not
Morpeko.
Hangry, yeah.
Sounds like a fucking monster.
When it's hangry, it's because Kurpeko, right? So, when it's hangry, it's mean, but when it's happy, it has the stare of death, and it creeps me the fuck out every time. But I just love little things like I have to say like. This wasn't even intentionally this way because I already like the character, but her battle theme is probably one of my favorite songs in the whole game. Because especially the second version of it, the like arena version,
your final battle against her.
It's it just shows like what the music can do. And I think I mentioned this before. Like I heard an 8-bit version. I'm like, this sounds like a Wily Tower song. From Mega Man. Like it feels like it could fit in that.
I hear Gourmet Race personally.
You hear Gourmet Race, yes.
I hear Gourmet, but the one thing that, because we're talking about how these characters and these rivals specifically, the problem with the X and Y rivals wasn't the fact that their characters weren't interesting, it's the problem is they were all your quote-unquote childhood friends. Whereas it seems like you and Hops know each other, but you're not like super friends. Like it feels as if you moved here with your mom and that next door neighbor's like, yo, dude, my brother's the goddamn champion. Isn't that fucking cool? And he just never leave you alone.
Well, no. In X and Y, your character just moved there. Like, were they moved there, but they weren't?
I thought they were childhood friends or something like that.
No,
they talk about you and like your history and your past with them.
The most development that I ever felt from the X and Y rivals was, I can't remember the one girl's name, the one who wears the pink clothes. Like there was kind of like a bit of there's kind of like a romantic undertone to her, which is interesting when you're playing as a girl, because it means that like like she's like there's like a lesbian relationship happening somewhere there. And the undertones, but like it's just like that was the deepest part of the rivals in X and Y. You've always got the one kid who cares about dancing, you got the one who cares about completing his Pokedex, you got the one who's technically the rival, who's just like the Sasuke-esque emo guy who's trying to just
Cinna was his name? I think his name was Cinna.
Whatever. And
no.
Because the thing is, sorry, Kirby. Let me finish this thought here. Like they throw these characters at you, but and they're on a journey with you, but I don't feel like any of them are growing except me. That's the thing.
And your character is a piece of wood.
Yeah,
like straight up. It's like you can replace it with Ball Guy, and you would still, which I'm quite surprised we don't have a ball guy head yet.
Kirby, go ahead and say your thoughts. Yeah. Sorry.
Well, okay. Well, first I wanted to clear things up. When you start the game, your character is a recently moved to the new town and stuff like that, and Professor Sycamore was like, "New town, there's a new mom. I need to hit." So he sends you on for the Pokemon journey. But you meet the other rivals to get your first Pokemon, and
they're all friends already, though.
They're already friends. You were brought into their friends group. Yeah, so you have the two guys. You have the dancing guy who wants to have all his Pokemon learn all the dancing moves, and he does accomplish that for what it's worth. You have the kid.
Go team dance.
You have the kid who wants to complete the Pokedex, and you have the girl that usually has the romantic interest. She doesn't. She wants to go on a Pokemon journey to make memories.
Yeah,
that was her shtick.
No, I know, but there was definitely some undertones.
And then your rival character is basically the opposite gender of what you didn't pick. You have Calum and you have non-Calum. I don't know. I can't remember.
I never picked a guy, so I have no idea.
It's in her name. It's in her name.
Serena. Yeah. And so the reason why it felt like you were like having the childhood friends and so like that is because the first thing you encounter before you even get a Pokemon is just like, hey, this is your name, but hey, you know what? Let's give you a nickname so we can remember you better.
Yeah.
And so that's why it felt like they've been friends for a long time, because whenever they see you, they call you by your nickname instead of your real name.
But that's the problem with them being friends already, is like you are being installed into their friendships that are already well established, and it makes them, unfortunately, one-dimensional to their goals rather than who they are. Everybody has the same goal in Sword and Shield. Their goal is to be the champion. But how
your
they
goal is to crush them.
Yeah, exactly. You're designed to murder all of them in cold blood with your giant scoop of ice cream. Now,
listen, guys, I didn't mean to derail with that comparison here, and I don't want to go too much off.
Oh yeah, no, but it's important on why these characters are so much more memorable than some of the previous ones, because instead of them being just, this is my goal, ergo, this is the outcome in which my goal will either succeed or fail, depending upon if I love my Pokemon or not, is now removed. And we have people like Marnie, who, on the surface, she is the least developed of all of them, in comparison to everybody else, all the others.
Dude.
But she is the identification of looks can be deceiving. People would see her and think that she would be the bitch rival, that she was the one that would not compliment you or anything like that. She has her own team of cheerleaders backing her up. She's designed to look like this punk that is just getting all of these things handed to her because she's got goons that interfere with you and all that. But she turns out to not be that person at all. If anything, she's the sweetest character you come across.
She's just a sweetheart. And
she wants to fight you. She wants you to succeed because she wants good competition.
To the point where when she's cheering you on, you get stat boosts.
Yeah.
that's how, and the thing is, I felt that too. Honestly, when I had to fight Marnie at the end, I was like, I feel bad because I'm going to crush you because I have to win. But I feel bad for winning because I kind of want us both to win. I wish we both could win this fight, but only one of us.
And then after Hops, and then after beating Hops too, it's like you beat Marnie, and you're like, "Oh man, I feel like an asshole." Then you beat Hops, you're like, "Man, I really am an asshole now."
I think the best way to describe it is, if you guys know who Mary Weathery is on Twitter, she does she did a bunch of the Pokemon Gather Scottish comics, and then she also does the Internet Explorer Chan series.
Okay.
I'm gonna post this in the Pokemons, but this is everyone with Marnie. This comic right here. She really, it's just are you guys causing trouble again? And then it's oh.
And I like how she's open about she likes her fans though.
Yeah.
Like she likes them. She's like, I understand that they're disruptive and I really wish that they would be more respectful to my competition, but you know, their heart's in the right place. They just like me and they want me to succeed, and I'm glad that I have people that support me. And I'm like, that's like so well established of like looks can be deceiving of a person that is very humble and just wants to be out of the shadow of all of the neon lights that of her hometown.
Yeah.
Right? She wants to shine brighter than her hometown and get it out of the circumstances that it's in.
Yeah, and also the other thing too about it is like it just goes to show you that in this game, one of the least developed characters of the main cast is still better than some of the previous games' characters that technically had the most development. It's one of those things where I feel like they really took character development seriously this time instead of just saying, "Hey, we're all friends. Let's go on a journey." You know what I mean?
Tip to the hat to the designers of making very memorable looking characters.
Like holy shit! Like
ones that stick out.
Hop's a little plain looking, but you know what? I never forgot him because he
never lets you forget it. And that's why I call him Naruto, because he's got that Naruto quality to him. And it's, yes, he can be annoying, but for some reason, I just want to be this guy's best friend. He's my best friend. We've seen it through it from the beginning to the end, and I think it's well established story wise, you know. And he becomes the second hero.
And like I said, you haven't done the post game all the post game content, but he finds where he belongs in that, and I think that was a really good way for his character.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, to finish off his story arc.
But yeah,
now this is the last topic I want to talk about because we're already going for a really long time. But how do you think Game Freak should handle not just inclusion of, because we talked about Brexit or Dexit or whatever it's called, but in the future, do you think that would you want them to re-release Sword and Shield but with a new moniker like Sharper Shield and
eventually getting a remake like down the line?
Do you think it should have a remake or should this be DLC? Because I personally believe they should make it DLC rather than it just being a completely separate game.
The thing
very similar to how Xenoblade Chronicles 2 did it. Now, you can make it a separate game, but I would like that continuation that I could take my champion, the one that I created in the first game, make a new challenger in the second game, and my ultimate goal is to beat my former team.
Yeah.
And to me, that sounds like a really cool extra part of the game where we could have new story. Like Sonia is now the proper professor. You get your Pokemon from her, not from
kind of like how Gold and Silver and Black and White 2 did it. Is what essentially, kind of like a
have like a mini sequel to the story. And I think that would be really neat in the storyline because we could see what happens to a lot of those characters. Like Marnie could be a gym leader. She could be the gym leader now.
Well, I mean, the canon is I think she does become it because spoiler. But yeah, that would make sense. I would love to come back and fight some of the newer gym leaders. Hint, hint, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. And I think that'd be cool. That's why I think I kind of agree with the sequel thing. Kirby, throw us your thoughts. I need to think a little more. You seem to be the guy to know what's going on with the Pokemons.
DLC or sequel?
I don't. Well, I can get on board with the DLC. I would rather them to do, instead of maybe create an extra story and stuff like that. I wouldn't mind battling my own character. I like your idea, CJ. But the one thing that stood out to me, and I wanted to mention this earlier, was that they mentioned that there are 18 gym leaders in the Galar region. It's just that they use 8 of them in the on season, and there's the other 10 are off season, and you can get their respective gym clothes in the game.
Yeah, you can purchase.
Yeah, because I bought the poison uniform for my character.
Yeah, and so I would want them to do basically an off season DLC where you get to find these gym leaders and challenge them. Maybe not just like in like the normal gyms or something like that, but maybe a story where it's like, you're the champion, and like you get to like basically go around battle these gym leaders and choose who's going to be in on the next season.
Oh, well, You know what? That makes me think? Maybe they are going to go the sequel route then, because it seems like they're baiting for a sequel there.
Oh yeah.
I don't like if they.
But I would want integration into my sequel. Like, I know that there's a little bit of integration between Black and White 2, but just the idea that this is a tournament setup, like,
you know what?
Kirby's idea there of being able to choose who the gym leaders are,
and they could totally
that season.
They could totally do like a data transfer thing, where like if you have save data from Sword and Shield, and say they make a Sword and Shield 2, they would just scan your data, and you would get benefits as well as have to fight yourself at the end of the game, or your previous trainer, like.
And obviously, if you haven't played the previous game, it just puts the default boy or girl trainer with a certain set of Pokemon. Like, I'm sure that they would max it out. Like, you could make it so all of that final champions Pokemon are all level 60 or something like that, right?
Something that I liked that you just reminded me from 7th Gen is if you do, I think it's the Battle Tower. I can't remember exactly what it is, but if you do, you can fight a 20-year-old Red and fight his current team. Like,
but that's technically not canon, though. The Battle Tower stuff isn't canon.
I know, but still, you could fight them, and I know in Black and White you can fight Red as well. So
I wouldn't say it's not canon, but it's not part of the story. But like seeing the characters that you can meet in the Battle Tower, in the Battle Tree. And 7th Gen was not only just like the returning characters. You had Cynthia, Red and Blue were the older and stuff like that. But you also saw some of the characters, post game, like after dealing with Guzma and stuff like that, and everything that happened. He went to the Battle Tree, and you can see his final team. You can battle against him in the Battle Tree, or you can battle with them. You could see
have more of a story too. Like, she actually appeared in the Battle Tower as well.
I don't remember.
I don't. You know what? I really don't remember.
I know she eventually appeared, but I can't remember exactly where. You're making me think of it now. But yeah, I would love to see. Like, I know it's cliche, but I want to battle Red. I want to see what his Galar team is, or his Galar team is, because he's not going to be able to bring some of the Pokemon he normally has with him over to the Galar region. So I think it'd be interesting to get something like that.
Well, I mean,
and not just Red, other trainers too.
Well, yeah, I was thinking about Red. I was thinking about what Pokemon he had on his team at the end of Gold and Silver and stuff like that.
Very similar.
4/6 of his team is 4/6 of his team is in the Galar region.
Well, what was his team in Sun and Moon? I'm trying to remember what.
Okay, I'm gonna have to look that up.
I don't know exactly what it was, because I know his team was different. I
thought it was relatively the same. He still had all 3 of the Kanto starters. I don't know if he had Pidgeot. He may not have had Pidgeot then. And he had Pikachu. He always has Pikachu.
Well, yeah, he has to.
Let's see. His team in Sun and Moon, the 7th Gen, he had Pikachu, Venusaur, Charizard, Blastoise, Lapras, and Snorlax.
Right, he has Lapras. I always remember he also has Lapras.
And
sorry, go ahead.
And like Pikachu, Snorlax, Lapras, and Charizard are all in the Galar region. So that is very possible.
And we know that Bulbasaur is eventually going to make his way into Sword and Shield because his model is in the game.
Well, that's the other thing too. Like, just
so I'm assuming Squirtle
is coming in. It could have been used for testing, right? So,
well, maybe, but he has all of his moves and other things like that that are specific to this generation. He's just not unlocked. He can evolve and everything. Like, he's planned to be in the game from what it looks like.
Also, I know having Red there wouldn't make much sense to have this to have him otherwise, but like, Ash finally beat the Pokemon League. Have Ash in the Battle Tower.
Yeah, in the anime.
Have Ash in the Battle Tower and include Ash Greninja in his party.
No, he let Greninja go.
He's very good at that. He's very good at letting his Pokemon go.
Ash Greninja was technically one of the only Mega-esque Pokemon you could get in 7th Gen, and he let it go, for Christ's sake.
I mean, he's trying. He tries his best.
I mean, okay, well, yeah, no, I can't I can't say that because you could get Mega Evolutions and 7th Gen post game stuff, but I can understand why it was post game because there was the more emphasis on Z crystals, but the Z bracelet could also double as a Mega Ring. That was the thing.
Well, I guess we should probably start thinking about wrapping this up. So, final thoughts on Pokemon.
On Pokemon Sword and Shield?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, who's going to go first?
Well, I'm going to just say this. I'm going to go first. Okay. I said my thoughts on the game on my video, but like just to give people the too long didn't watch on it. It's a fun game. It has its problems here and there, both in story and in everything. And a lot of the stuff I had problems with it was the internet connection issues that got cleared up. It's still a fun game. Don't let the whole thing about there's only 400 Pokemon stop you from playing the game. And it's a really fun game. The characters are likable. They all their stories get resolved. Camping with your Pokemon is fun.
Oh, we didn't even mention camping in the curry.
We didn't mention camping, but camping with your Pokemon is fun. Cooking them curry is fun, and just seeing them interact in the camp is just so amazing. Like people,
it's adorable.
Get the ball.
People keep saying that they want them to back. Pokemon following you around everywhere and stuff like that. But like, I think camping is a nice alternative because you get to interact with your Pokemon, you get to play with them and stuff like that. If you're good at making curry, you can get more toys for them to play, and it does different things. But it's still generally the same thing as just having your Pokemon follow you, and it's amazing.
I feel though like some of it feels a little superficial. That's the only thing that I would feel about camping. I'm saying it's a good first step, but I would really like them to improve upon it if they make a sequel.
I see the camping mostly as an upgrade from the Pokemon Me, because like that was something I barely used, and I do lots of camping now. Like I enjoyed it. You know what's funny? My first playthrough, I didn't camp at all or make any curry. And Deco called me out. He's like, "You haven't made any curry?" I'm like, "No. I forgot about that." And then, like, now in my stream playthrough, I'm doing it. And I'm like, "Oh, there's benefits to it." I'm like, "Okay, I should have been doing this all along." But
anyway, continue. Continue, Kirby.
But, honestly, like, if you enjoy Pokemon, just in general, so like that. This is a fun game to get into. If you really feel that them not having certain Pokemon or Pokemon that you like in general not in the game, that it offends you, and that's the point where you don't want to get the game, that's perfectly fine. And I don't want to say it like this, but it feels like this game was made for people who just enjoy Pokemon. Mm-hmm. And that maybe that's probably the wrong thing to say, because you can't say like all fans who are complaining about like all the stuff don't enjoy Pokemon, but it's just this game is so relaxing. Like everything about this game, I felt less stressed to do everything. I didn't feel stressed to do breeding. I didn't feel stressed to make a competitive team. I didn't feel stressed about going out and catching Pokemon or completing the Pokedex. Because FYI, I completed the Pokedex once in a later gen. I did it in Omega Ruby, and I'm not catching 721 Pokemon again. Not doing that again. Thank you. So,
but Ekans isn't in the game.
Oh no!
My snake spelled backwards is not in the game. Angry baby face, baby rage.
But backwards version of me is not in the game.
But Sandaconda has buns.
Yeah, but he looks. I don't like his like. I liked his first form, but then I was like, I don't really understand what's going on with him now. Like, where is he? Does he naturally wrap himself that way? There's a lot of questions about that. Yeah,
he naturally wraps himself that way, and like, it's allows him to store more sand inside of him. And I think that the hilariousness of that Pokemon is that, and I'm going to just wrap this up real quick. The hilarious is that if it uses all the sand it's carrying, it gets sad.
Well, I mean, every time you punch it, it creates a sandstorm. That's not very helpful.
It's just like, oh, I dropped my sand.
Bandit, my Hitmonchan, decided I'm gonna punch it, and he punched it, and then it poofed into a sand cloud that murdered like half the arena with goddamn hail sand.
Hail sand. Just chunks of sand.
Just chunks of sand fly. You punch it, and it just explodes into dust. And then now your poor Hitmonchan is blind, and it's been beaten to shit by sandstorms.
Fuck.
I think the worst thing is like it can learn glare. So not only
paralysis, it just leaves you in the dust. It's a good Pokemon. Don't get me wrong. I think it's a great Pokemon. It's just I don't like its design. It actually kept me away from using it in my team.
Have you seen the G-Max version of it?
I don't think so. No.
Okay, I was linking a picture, but we need to continue wrapping up.
All right.
Yeah, CJ,
so
you go next.
You want me to go, or do you want to go?
I'll go last.
All right. So, as someone that hasn't really played Pokemon since like X and Y, and had a bad taste left in my mouth, and I've been vocal about how I feel about Pokemon in general. I felt that it very much felt like the same game, just with slightly different tweaks, with like little gimmicks here and there, but it never felt fresh or new to me. It always had that sense of familiarity, but it also had that sense of staleness to it as well, right? You know, like it's that warm blanket that you always loved when you were younger, or even still like now. You have a favorite something. And Pokemon is definitely one of those things that if they stray too far from the formula, you get what happens with, Sun and Moon, where some people really like the change. They think the change is a good idea, but it wasn't executed well, and all that type of stuff, right? So there was always this conflicting side to Pokemon for quite a while, just within just talks, whether it's people that are Gen 1ists or whatever, it doesn't really matter. But this game made me say, I will play Pokemon again, but there's a huge but. The game does still have that staleness to it in certain aspects. The only thing that made this game much more enjoyable for me personally was its difficulty curve. This game had a very satisfying difficulty curve. I never felt like my Pokemon were just one-shotters, because that's sort of what ends up happening a lot of the time. Now, I know that there are people that grind to all hell and just shatter that level cap and all that level grind to abysmal levels, where they're fucking facing Milo with level 35 Pokemon, right? So they just blast through it and say, game's easy, GG, la 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 la. But if you play the game from start to finish, catch Pokemon, do what you would normally do, talk to NPCs, don't worry too much about always being 7 levels ahead of the curve, and man, did it make my feeling so much more impactful, that I was actually working towards something, not just saying, here's my fire starter, I teach it one move and blast through the entire game with Earthquake or Fire Blast. Like, I know that there's some people that like doing that and it makes them feel good on the inside, but this game, I felt like it was designed with a better difficulty in mind, where it was just perfect enough. Now, I hate catching Pokemon. I've always hated it. I hate RNG in my fucking roll systems. I hate it because I always seem to get the low end, or I guess the high end rolls. Like, I'll put someone to sleep, bring its HP down to 1. It will be paralyzed, will be confused, and somehow I'll throw an Ultra Ball at it and it immediately breaks out. And it's a Caterpie. And you're like, I hate you. I hate that stupid RNG mechanic, but that is just sort of where I leave it, because I like the characters, I like the story. I didn't feel that it was overly preachy versus overly saturated with stupid. I will say that the beginning of the game could be the only thing that I would say, just stick with it. The pace picks up very, very quickly. That initial tutorialized part of the game at the very beginning before the wild area sort of really opens up and you really get to go to your first actual gym battle. I think that was a little too long, personally. And an overall thought process of it. Just because I guess in this also, I also always have to remember that this is designed not with my generation in mind, but within the kids that are currently playing video games, that are currently picking up Pokemon for the first time, or may have migrated from Move to this game. So they need to teach some of the extra stuff to you. But I don't know. I had a lot of fun. I really liked most aspects of this game, but my little asterisk will be, I really want the next Pokemon to be how the next Monster Hunter, like Monster Hunter World, was to the Monster Hunter franchise. Mm-hmm. Taking a core system that everybody already loves and just amplifying it by like 100, make the monsters look detailed, make the Pokemon be animated and everything. And we look at games now, like, yeah, it's very hard to compare because their art styles are different, but you know, the new Star Wars game and other things, you're seeing like it feels like the worlds are lived in just by looking at them. And as a colorful cartoon, yes, I see that the worlds are lived in, but it takes me out of it when my Dreadnought just sort of fucking sits there. And then when I Dynamax it, which is, I still say, is one of the weakest parts of this game, because it's not really well explained. I don't really think it adds too much strategy outside of like probably like high-end Pokemon trainer battles, which I'm not interested in, other than maybe against hard CP like NPCs. It just felt like it was the gimmick sort of took over. It took over in the story, and it took over a little bit in like how you're able to do raids with other people. Like, it's such a great mechanic of going out into the wilds and doing these raids either with people locally around you or on the internet. But it takes the importance of Dynamax sort of out, because you're just like, oh, look, it seems that fucking Caterpie can Dynamax. It looks like a Pidove can Dynamax. And it's I guess it's supposed to be designed to show you that the world of Galar has this weird phenomenon about it, but it doesn't make it as impactful as like the stadium battles where you get to Dynamax. Personally, that's where I would have left the Dynamax system, is just as a mechanic for the gyms and for like competitive Pokemon battling. Because then it would have made it much more unique, personally, for me. And like I said, the story doesn't lend itself well to explaining Dynamaxing and why it's so important to the Galar region, other than it provides us with the cities with power and other things like that. So that's sort of my 2 cents on the story. But like I said, I haven't done the post-game stuff, so there could be a little bit more explanation that I'm missing to the context of that type of stuff. But hey, man, if this is the blueprint of where Pokemon is heading, oh yeah, I'm in again. I'm playing Pokemon again. So what can I say? I'm having fun. So it's an 8 out of 10 for me if I was going to give it a score. It's not perfect. It's definitely not perfect. It definitely needs more tender loving care and just that next level that Pokemon's been needing for ages. That's why Detective Pikachu as a movie was so interesting, because we got to see what living in a world with Pokemon would be like. Not just, there's a gym challenge, there's Pokemon running around, and Tyro really wants to beat the living shit out of you when you walk out into the wildlands. So that's what I'm hoping for in the future. But man, this blueprint is pretty gosh darn good.
Definitely not too much water.
Not enough water, actually.
Not enough water.
I actually wanted the entire Galar like wild area to be flooded at one point, just to satiate my Gen 3 anger.
All right. Well, for me, I'm just going to start off by saying that this game is now excluding remakes, spin-offs, and anything else, like, this game is like my third favorite of the franchise, with Black and White being my favorites, or second favorite, and Gold and Silver being my favorites in terms of generations and whatnot. And it's because it's not just standard Pokemon. There's a lot of things that were changed in it to make it be more worthwhile than just the standard playthrough of Pokemon again. And like I said, there's been plenty of examples through this whole thing. I said this has made changes to the formula where 7th gen failed, this kind of succeeds. And I'll admit, this game is not perfect. There's a lot of problems. But I feel like all the improvements and the new stuff and whatnot heavily outweighs the negatives. Like just the story, the character development, all the stuff we talked about. Like the wild area being a thing, like raiding in Pokemon, yeah, it's still kind of weird, but like I think the way they've handled it so far is good. And I know not everybody's keen on Dynamaxing, but I really enjoy it, and I think it's a better system in my opinion. But all in all, at the end of the day, like as many complaints, for every complaint that I had at least like 5 or 6 things that I loved about the game. And I think that for the first time since 5th gen, I felt like I legitimately had a challenge, and I legitimately had a great time playing through a Pokemon game. Not to say that, X and Y I didn't, and Sun and Moon I didn't, but it was different. It didn't feel like a progression of the franchise in those games. It felt more like standard Pokemon.
Does it feel more memorable? Because like that's what it feels to me. Like some of the other stories, or just the game in general, didn't feel memorable. The Galar region feels memorable to me.
Like this, and I have to agree with that. Like the Pokemon games that I've not completed a full second playthrough of are 4th gen, 6th gen, and 7th gen. And the reason I haven't completed a full second playthrough of those generations is because 4th gen I think is bullshit. 6th gen, I just get kind of bored of it midway through. I am going to finish the Let's Play, so I will have to do a second playthrough, but I just get kind of bored of it midway through. And I felt like it was kind of unbalanced not in terms of gameplay, but story and other things. And 7th gen, I just feel like it was too much too fast. And it wasn't... Some of the stuff that I wanted still to be in the game, they took out, and other things that they changed to try to improve it didn't really stick that well. This one, though, I'm already really excited to be streaming my second playthrough right now, which you can see on Twitch if you're listening to this right now. But I think this one holds up way better than the last couple of games have. That being said, I think that if they decide to make 4th gen remakes using this engine, I would be all for that. Because God knows those games need improvement. And after seeing what they did with the Alpha Sapphire and you know what I mean, the 3rd gen remakes that they did with the 6th gen engine, like, and how much they improved those games. Like, I already liked 3rd gen, but like they just fixed all the problems I had with the 3rd gen games that kind of make them annoying to play now. I'm all for it because I'm seeing things in this that I'm like, this would be great in a 4th gen remake as well. So like I'm on the same page as you. As like, I'm very excited for the future of Pokemon, because just like what 5th gen did with me back in the day, it's reinvigorating my interest in Pokemon. Like, I knew that I was going to get this game, whether I liked it or not, I was going to end up getting it and playing it. But like, the fact that it was as good as I was hoping it was, despite all its flaws and everything, like, it makes me hopeful that the franchise is going in the right direction. Because when you had things like Let's Go and 7th gen and stuff like that, you could kind of tell that the main series Pokemon games weren't really the focus anymore. It was all about Go and all the mobile stuff. And I get that. They're the big money makers. But like, I'm just happy that this is just not an afterthought.
Yeah. Like, this isn't just like, that was the one thing I was afraid of with Go. Was the fact that, I like the art style, but man, it's like really chibi, and they're simplifying catching and all those things, like to a point where like even breeding your Pokemon was like stupid easy, to the point where you could just like make a Caterpie this ridiculously swole thing that could like destroy people, which is fun in like a in like, like a bubble, right? But when your gameplay can be broken that easily, I was like, oh gosh, what happens if Sword and Shield plays like this?
And
I don't know if I'm going to really like it. And then obviously they said, no, this was just a little thing that the developers were sort of doing on the side to show and work on the engine to show how they would make a new Pokemon. And they refined it. Your character doesn't have that gigantic head that you have in Let's Play.
One other thing I want.
Let's go. Sorry.
One other thing I want to state before I finish off my saving here is that I have talked to people who haven't played Pokemon since the first gen or second gen. I've talked to people who, have been playing since the start. I've talked to people who this is their first Pokemon game. And I seem to be, there's something about this, like the negative connotation that happened because of the Dexit and other things that people are saying, oh, look at this tree texture and all this stuff, all the things that people were complaining about before the game even came out. Our friend Danny, that Dan guy, was fed up with, she wasn't going to get the game, but then she saw how people were having fun with it. She's like, fuck it. I'll buy the game and I'll try it out. She's also one of the breeder type people. She likes to breed Pokemon. And I think when she gets into it and sees how much easier breeding is, how much less of a hassle it is, probably going to like it as well. Doom TV, a guy who comes to my streams all the time, who did want to be in this podcast, but I'm like, three's enough. He hasn't played a Pokemon game since Gold and Silver. And he is and he's been playing the game while I've been streaming, and I've been hearing his genuine reactions to things. And he's slightly ahead of my stream file. And he's really enjoying the game too. I'm seeing it with a whole different factions of people. This is not just I like it because people like to say I'm a contrarian. Like people say that, like, I don't, it's not just I like it because maybe I'm subconsciously being a contrarian. I like it because it's genuinely a fun game. And it has things that I've wanted in the Pokemon franchise for a long time. So I think the long and short of it is that I have to agree with the 8 out of 10 score if we're putting scores on things, because it's a legitimately good game. It has its flaws. It's not perfect, obviously, but it's a legitimately fun Pokemon game. And it's everything you love, but also not at the same time. It's also something completely new.
And to be brutally honest, if this was my very first Pokemon game, if I was back being, 10, 11, 13 years old if this came out, and I was that age, this game would have blown my mind.
Yeah. I could only imagine.
That's the thing, is like, I also have to look at the lens that I am an older Pokemon fan now, right? That's the reason why I dropped Pokemon for a while, was because I felt like I was getting older, and I didn't think the game itself really felt like it was evolving, because it wasn't meant to evolve the same way that I do. It was meant to be that coming of age story that every young person wants to sort of achieve and be a part of. Anybody that's interested in creative writing learns about the hero's journey, and one of the very first things you learn is about that. And Pokemon is a good interpretation of that. And every generation has something unique, and this one, I think they've got themselves a really unique platform for their Pokemon to extend into 2020 and beyond.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Exactly.
But They did it. They figured it out.
But anyways, guys, that's our thoughts on Pokemon Sword and Shield. We're going to move to the part of the podcast where we talk about what we're working on. So I'm going to start with our guest, BruddaKirby. What you working on? What can people expect from you?
Mega Man. Lots and lots of Mega Man.
Oh, are we allowed to talk about that right now?
Well, no, not that. But in general, there's going to be an influx of just Mega Man videos coming from me because of just some playthroughs I'm going to be doing, some footage I'm recording. This is going to be like a month of Mega Man for me.
Well, it's good because Mega Man's anniversary is in December. So there you go. But yeah, so there's that. What about like stream wise? Are you going to be doing Mega Man stuff for your streams too?
Possibly. I haven't found anything to really get on streaming. But I am going to be streaming a little bit more because I recently got a new new graphics card. new capture card. I'm going to be getting it this Sunday. So
Sunday.
So I'm definitely going to be streaming more. I'm definitely going to be doing a lot more stuff. There's a couple of playthroughs, non-Mega Man playthroughs that have been requested of me because I still do Let's Play requests. So I'm going to be working on those as well.
Monster Hunter World Speedrun, let's go.
I thought
all the way to the end of
it.
Iceborne. One sitting.
Kirby could probably do it.
I could do it only because I sat here and I sat here for majority of Monster Hunter World, and I use Sword and Shield, and I know how to fight every single monster with Sword and Shield.
There you go.
So
and he's not talking about the Pokemon game. He's talking about the Sword and Shield weapons.
Little SNS, Sword and Shield. What are you at? Casual?
No, Clayton, you can't kill Kutku with Sword and Shield. Watch me. I'll never let Corey live that down. Yeah, good. Is that all for you and your camp and what's coming up? What people can expect?
Yeah, generally much. There is some music that I'm on as well, but generally speaking, there's gonna be a lot more playthroughs.
Do that cover of Marnie's battle theme with the Mega Man X sound font. I want to hear that.
I need to get better Mega Man's. I need to get better sound fonts before I go back into doing those particular covers, because the ones that I've been using over the last couple of ones I've sent you, that thing is like 2008, 2009. That thing is old.
Right. Well,
so
maybe one day. But anyways, CJ, what's going on with you? What can people expect? What you working on?
I am currently working, though I did get slightly derailed because of Pokemon. I've been playing through, and I mentioned it earlier in the podcast, Atelier Reza, which is my first Atelier game. I've never played these types of games before. I've always liked anime-esque games. Code Vein was my most recent. I love this game to death. It's definitely in my top 5 in 2019 for sure. And yeah,
3.
I think it feels like I'm about halfway through the artillery game right now, and I was thinking, like, now's the time where I'm going to really start writing my script and stuff, though I want to see if I can beat it before I give my sort of, like, final summation and thoughts on my script. That's pretty much all that I've been working on specifically for my videos. I don't know if I mentioned this last time, but I also was recently in Blonde Guy Gamer's Halloween review of some of his CDI games that he got recently, so check that out. I'm in the first couple of minutes of that, where I tell him my beautiful story on having a CDI as a child. So there's that. And that's pretty much it. I have been playing Monster Hunter Iceborne on stream occasionally at twitch.tv/CanadianJutsu. But I don't have like a stream schedule or anything like that. I just sort of stream when I have available time. But yeah, that's one of my goals on stream next year is to stream at least once a week, just to sort of get that part of my life at least squared into one way. And I want to beat some games. The idea is to use my streams to actually beat and/or platinum games that have been needing to be beaten for ages. Because I'm looking at my video game library, and there's games that need to be beaten. So that's probably what I'm gonna start doing on my streams, is just find a game that I want to get a platinum in or like beat into submission, and I'm just gonna do that. So that's sort of the goal in the coming future when it comes to that.
All right,
that's pretty much it.
All right. Well, from my camp, just going over things that have come out as of the recording of this podcast. I had 2 reviews come out in November. I had my Tiny Metal review. And my Pantsu Hunter review. Both games I was given review codes for. So I actually streamed Pantsu Hunter as well. I streamed the whole game. So there's that as well. So guys, check those reviews out if you get a chance. I'm not going to go every single thing I've done. There is a new noise cast coming out. It may actually come out before this. I'm not sure. I sent the final audio to Jordan, and I'm just waiting for him to edit the video, but he's on vacation as of this recording, so he's probably on his way back now from Europe. So So give him a little bit of time. He's probably going to need some time for that. But for December, my plan is I'd like to get the Mega Man 11 review done. I'd like to get it done and pushed out just by the end of December. I don't have a specific date that I want to have it by, but I'd like to try to have it out unless something with, holidays pushes me back, but we'll see. And actually, I'm going to be sending you guys probably the rough draft of the script soon. I'm just trying to finish the next draft because there's some stuff I haven't included yet that I forgot to include with the difficulty stuff that I did and some amiibo stuff. But once that's finished, I'm going to send you guys the document to get your opinion on it because you both know Mega Man.
You both have more knowledge of Mega Man than I do.
Well, enough that to be
jumping and shooting. That's what you do, right? Jumping and shooting.
So, and Kirby's actually going to be helping me out with getting some footage because on the PC version, because mine's a potato and his isn't. So, and also he's way better at Mega Man than me. So,
I'm not that good. I just. At 9 times out of 10,
better at Zero than Mega Man is not a high bar to hit.
Wow, man!
Wow.
I know. Hey, man, I've watched you play except for X3 because I played that.
Listen, I had a crowd of people around me the last time I played Mega Man 2. Thank you very much. But anyways, yeah. So the Mega Man 11 review is coming. It's pretty much all that's left to do is I got to finalize the script, record the audio, all the gameplay is recorded except for what I'm getting from other people, and I just got to film the on-camera segments and then edit it all together. So the longest part of the process is done, in my opinion. It's just these last few things that I just need to get done and pound it out and get it done. So yeah. So that review is coming.
I'm actually pretty excited for that because, when you were talking about it before, you're like, "Oh yeah, that's going to be a 2020 video." Like, ooh, we're actually going to get it out in the year that it came out.
Well, I'd like no, it came out last year.
Oh shit!
But I'm glad I waited though because new things came out, such as it's sold over 1 million units now. Mega Man franchise is now sold over 35 million units worldwide across all its games. So there's been some new stuff that's come out that's been involved with Mega Man 11. So I'm glad I waited a little bit. But I'm finally going to get it done because after the Mega Man 8 review, I've had people ask me what my thoughts are on Mega Man 11. It's I'm going to review it. It's going to happen. So, but yeah, so that is coming down the pipeline. So with that being said, Kirby, where can people find you and follow you and watch you?
Well, you can find me on youtube.com, BruddaKirby. You can find me on Instagram now, the Brotherhood Gaming.
Ooh.
And that's about it. I would say Twitter, but I'm still banned on Twitter.
I still think it's hilarious that you got banned on Twitter and Doomis said way worse shit and he's not banned.
Yeah, I've said it to a lot of people. I've said people have said way worse stuff on Twitter. I'm still permanent banned from Twitter. So
you could just say you were too gangster for Twitter.
Pretty much. I also reopened up my Facebook. That brother named Kirby page. I'm up here going to start writing articles and doing mini reviews on that. Basically, it's going to be my hub for doing writing and stuff like that. And yeah, that's pretty much it. That's where you can find me.
Okay. All right. CJ, what about you? Where can people find you and watch you and all that stuff?
Well, anything Canadian Jutsu, pretty much. So all my URLs now are Canadian Jutsu. Even my YouTube, I was able to secure the Canadian Jutsu URL for my channel, which is nice. But yeah, no. So YouTube/user/Canadian Jutsu, Twitch.tv/Canadian Jutsu. I'm on Twitter, Canadian Jutsu, obviously. Also, I'm on Facebook. And I have a fancy Patreon also that I don't have really anything other than a $1 goal on because I don't really produce content worthy of Patreon just yet. But at some point, it's good to know that it's out there and I have it. So if you see Canadian Jutsu's Patreon, that is me.
Hey, can I follow you on MySpace?
Yeah, it's over there with my Tumblr.
Tumblr.com/Canadian Jutsu.
I actually don't know if I have a Tumblr. It's been a while since I thought about it.
It's funny you mentioned Tumblr because I've gotten a lot more interactions on Tumblr recently. People are I get notifications all the time from Tumblr, people watching my videos and commenting and stuff. It's crazy. All of a sudden that
so much Tambled that I'm missing out on.
All of a sudden that platform is viable now for me. It's weird. Anyways, speaking of me, you guys know where to find me. Zeromaster fan page on Facebook, Zeromaster on Twitter. I stream on Twitch Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time at twitch.tv/Zeromaster. And if you want to support me, get early access to videos, get your name in the credits of this video and other videos, and a whole lot more, you can support me on Patreon at patreon.com/Zeromaster. I also want to say that, I have a couple of other channels. So if you miss the streams, I do upload the stream VODs up on my Zeromaster LP channel. That's also where I'm doing my Let's Plays. Right now we're doing 16-Bit Winter. You can join 16-Bit Winter with the link in the description, or you can just have a good time watching the videos. It's up to you. I am making a playlist with all the 16-Bit Winter stream VODs and Let's Plays that get uploaded and submitted to me. So if you're a content creator / streamer / gamer, whatever, and you want to get in on this goodness, go over and click the link for the 16-Bit Winter Facebook page and read the rules and sign up. It's been great. Thanks for coming out, guys. Thanks for coming, Kirby, on to talk about Pokemons with us.
Anytime.
But anyways, guys, for the Hunter Base Podcast, I'm Zeromaster.
I'm Canadian Jutsu.
I'm your brother Kirby.
You do the same outro every time, CJ.
No, I don't. I say it in a different way.
No, whatever. We'll see you next time.